The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Well, welcome into a Thursday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you. No, that's not Zeke Elliott's next to me, but it is Anthony Hartwig who has a Zeke Elliott
It's not
jersey.
Zeke Elliott. It's 22.
Oh, Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
My bad. Boy, that's note to self. I definitely need to see an optometrist. I need to see an optometrist. That's Emmett Smith's number.
Exactly. One of the GOATs.
He's up there.
He's up there.
He's definitely up there.
He still has the career rush yards record, right?
I believe he does. Yeah.
So
Yeah, he busted Peyton's record about a year or so ago, or the year before he retired.
right. I was about to say not it.
Well, not a year or so ago, but about a year before he retired, he busted the record. Yeah.
Yeah, the viewers will know that I'm a jersey collector and I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm also a connoisseur of fine jerseys, and I gotta say the Cowboys blue, it's sharp.
Not bad.
It's sharp
Yeah.
with the star on the sleeve.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's definitely not bad. Tell you what else is not bad. Good defense, and you had an opportunity last night to see some great defense played at Poland High School. The Salem Quakers in girls basketball knocking off Poland last night, and you saw not only great defense, you saw someone getting their 1,000th point, and kudos to Poland for stopping the game and honoring Ms. Jamison when she got her 1,000th point. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Coach Blanche, he's very, very respective of even the talent in the area, and he knew that Kyla Jamison was close, and he was very adamant that if she got it during the game, no matter where it was, I mean, it was a big moment of the game. She hit that shot to give Salem a 43-41 lead with about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But Coach Blanche didn't care. He stopped the game, and then he let the Quakers have that moment, and then everyone kind of regathered themselves and got back to basketball and got back to really gut check time basketball with the Quakers leading by 2 late in that game.
Yeah, it was $1:58 actually remaining in the contest when that happened, and Poland missed a couple of opportunities to tie the ball game.
Yeah, they did,
and they were down 3 at the free throw line. And Anthony, you and I talked about it. I swear it must have been a foreshadowing. Poland was down 3 going to the free throw line with an opportunity to pull to within 1, and more importantly, maybe some backcourt pressure, get a turnover. And
with 8 seconds left. So it's one of those things like, do you want them to hit the first, miss the second, try to get a rebound? It's a weird decision because 8 seconds is not a whole lot of time to go to the free throw line, down 44-41. So once she missed the first, and I believe it was Ariana Daniels who went to the free throw line, a sophomore. Once she misses the first, then you got to think, do you even just miss the second and try to get the ball back because it's still one possession game? Because hitting 1 and going down 2 and giving Salem the ball back really doesn't do much for you. So I'm thinking maybe that second miss was more strategic than it was,
So now on the flip side of that,
because I feel like I'd want the ball with 8 seconds left, because giving Salem back the ball with 8 seconds left Then you have to foul them probably unless you get a steal right off the inbounds.
Yeah.
And they go to the free throw line. One shot makes it a 2-possession game and it's over. So I feel like once she missed the first, you almost want her to miss the second.
See, I'm going to completely disagree with that because if you hit the second shot, you now give Salem the ball out of bounds where you can put all kinds of pressure on whoever gets the ball. More importantly, it's now a one-possession game. So if they go to the free throw line,
it's still a one-possession game even if you miss that second.
Well, yeah, but if you're sending Salem to the line, and I don't know what the situation was, whether it was a 1-and-1 or 2 shots. I don't know if they had 10 fouls in the second half or 7 fouls. Regardless, all they need to do is hit a free throw, and now it's a 2-possession game. If you go down 2, now they have to hit 2 free throws in order for it to be a 2-possession game. So. And I think that you just got to get your free throws. That's bottom line.
Both teams made some pretty big plays down the stretch. I mean, Salem had a 39-36 lead, and Poland found Jackie Grisdale in the corner for a 3, and that was really the only room Grisdale got the whole second half. She only scored 3 points for the last 2 quarters, and it was a big shot to tie the game up at 39. Poland's freshman, Mary Brandt, made a couple of big plays in the third quarter to stop it from being a atrocious Salem run because Salem won that third quarter 17-5. So both teams made big plays, and I think when you look at the defenses, Poland played really good defense in the first half, and Salem couldn't get any ball movement. They only had 2 players score the first 2 quarters. But then on the flip side, when Salem came out of the locker room, they forced 3 turnovers the first 3 possessions, and they really got their groove on offense. So it was a tale of 2 halves when you look at the defense.
Yeah, it was a solid win for Salem. Poland wound up being limited to just 16 points in the second half. That's a damn good defensive performance. If you can hold Poland to just 16 points over the final 16 minutes, that's just a minute. That's a point a minute. You're doing something pretty special if you're holding a team down to 1 point per minute.
Yeah, and the good news for Poland, at least, they scored 41 points. Jackie Grisdale had 14 of them. So at least for them, they were having other people score. It just no one could really step up and be a consistent scoring threat. And that's, I think, why Salem could latch down on Jackie Grisdale and really keep her from, scoring a lot in the second half. Because Poland had a couple of people score in a little spurts, but they couldn't have anyone that became a consistent scoring threat from the first quarter to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and we said this yesterday. Defense is so important in basketball, and I was told when Coach Windrum, who's coaching the boys junior high program at Letonia, he was coaching the girls junior high program at Salem. He had these sophomores, juniors, and seniors when they were in junior high, and he told me that these kids, they play defense, and it's defense is an attitude, and they had a great attitude when it came to playing defense, and last night it showed.
Yeah, and when you look at the defense of Poland is always going to keep them in games, even if their offense is struggling, because of the different defenses they throw at you. They throw different traps, they throw different pressures, full court press, half court press, and they keep offenses on their toes. And I think Salem did a really good job in the second half getting a few more people involved, because, like I said, in the first half, it was Kyla Jamison with 10 and Abby Davidson with 8, and that was their only scoring. So the second half, they mixed things around a little bit. Kami Rom hit a couple of big shots. Annie Davidson hit a 3 from the top of the floor. So they really got some more balanced scoring in the second half, and I think that's what propelled them to victory.
Now, Salem doesn't get a breather tonight. No. Now, this is on a back-to-back night taking on 2 elite girls basketball programs in this area. Kudos to Salem for scheduling up. They do not get a breather tonight.
And they're really going to have to play good defense tonight because South Range is much more balanced on offense than Poland is. They're prone to turnovers. They've always been prone to turnovers, the Raiders have, but they have more scoring threats on the floor in their half-court sets. So Salem isn't going to be able to focus on one person and say, we're just going to stop her. It's going to be a little bit different. So we're going to see how Salem kind of adjusts their defense, because they've been playing good defense all season so far.
Were they playing mostly man last night, or did they throw in some zone?
And when they zoned, they trapped.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't like they never sat back in a zone and said, let's stop them from getting inside.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, Jackie Grisdale will carve you up. So in the half court, it was mostly man, So I expect them to stay the same way against South Range. I think if you kind of sit back in a zone against the Raiders, they'll carve
It's not
you
going
up.
to work.
Because Izzy Lamparty isn't just someone that can work in the box. She can come outside and hit some in-range jumpers, so she can really carve up a zone pretty well.
West Branch girls knocked off Alliance pretty convincingly, though they did get off to a really slow start. They only had a 7-3 lead after one quarter. They outscored Alliance the rest of the way, 48-19. Just an impressive 55-22 victory over the Aviators.
I don't care who you're
and
playing.
They're 2-1.
You hold the team to 22 points, then that's playing some incredible defense. And I think that's what Coach DeShields is going to hang his hat on this year is just really good defense. They're going to have a size advantage over most of the teams they play. And while they're kind of working on getting their offense in sync with a lot of new faces, they're going to play really lockdown defense, and that's going to be their goal. So great start to the week. I know they have Doylestown Chippewa coming in a little bit, but good start to the week by taking down Alliance.
Now, in varsity basketball, boys and girls, the clock is 8-minute quarters, so you're looking at 32 minutes of basketball. If you hold a team to 22 points, they're not even scoring 1 point per minute. That's incredible, because normally, if you can go 1.5 points a minute over a 32-minute game, you're looking at 48 points given up. 48 is a great number. If you can go under 55 in boys basketball, for girls basketball, 48 is a solid number. That should be at your absolute highest that you give up.
The number most coaches try to like we want to hold teams under 40. They feel like a lot of coaches, when they have their leadership boards or they have their practice boards, one of the goals is hold every opponent under 40. So in girls basketball, if you hold them under 40, you've got a really good defense. And in boys, I would just notch that number up maybe to 50.
It's not shabby.
If you can hold every team under 50 in boys basketball,
yeah,
that's a heck of a defense.
It definitely is. Well, West Branch goes to 2-1 on the campaign with a league win, Eastern Buckeye Conference win over Alliance, 55-22. Meanwhile, Sebring, they took on the Academy of Urban Scholars. Now, we saw Sebring play this team, we saw West Branch play this team the day before.
Right.
And West Branch pretty much handled them. Now, West Branch is obviously a much bigger school. Sebring, they hammered them in the first quarter, 23-2. Give credit to the Academy of Urban Scholars. They actually outscored Sebring the rest of the night. But that first quarter what turned out to be the difference.
You dig yourself that kind of hole, it's going to be really hard to get yourself out of it, 23-2.
Yeah, Connor Shepard leading the way for the Trojans. First game of the year for Sebring. They led the way, 17 points. Andrew Lamp had 14. Frankie Lazoya had 14. Matt Bird had 13. So balanced scoring by the Trojans in a big way last night in their victory over the Academy of Urban Scholars, 72-54. And again, Sebring, very impressive league that they're in, the MVAC Scarlet tier, because you have Springfield, Western Reserve, McDonald, Lowellville, Waterloo, although Waterloo lost a lot of kids from last year's gigantic run that they were on. But Sebring, that's a solid league and has the makings of an impressive league again this year in boys basketball.
Yeah, and when you look at it, and the fact that Sebring could open up their season like that, Sebring, we've said it before, they're going to be a very talented team this year, a team with a lot of ability to kind of, change the aspects of games and compete in that conference. So I expect Sebring to really have a say in who wins that conference.
No two ways about it. I mean, you're going to be looking at about 4 or 5 teams that could seriously lay claim to this conference, and we mentioned the teams. It's a solid conference. I look forward to seeing, hopefully, knock on wood, a full season of basketball. Though it certainly doesn't look that we're going to have a full season based on what we're seeing. That was
one of the games on the network, by the way, last night. DJ Oakley had a great call in Sebring, and then while I was calling at Poland, and tonight we have quite a few games on the network, and you're going to be at one of them as well.
Yeah, I'll be at Lowellville with some girls basketball. That should be an awful lot of fun. And Yeah, this basketball season is just getting underway, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully, knock on wood, we get a full season of basketball. Although right now, it's going to be
also
tough to do.
Have swimming on the network tonight.
Nice.
Boardman versus South Range swim meet. That'll start at 5 o'clock, so that'll be your little appetizer for games. A quick programming note that the Sebring girls game tonight against Waterloo is going to be starting at 5:30, not 7, because there's no JV. So
yeah, the same thing for the Lowville game tonight. No JV game in Lowville tonight, so that game is going to start at 5:30 in Lowville tonight. So,
and I think you're going to be seeing a little bit more of that this season with numbers down and everything that they're going through. They're just going to say a lot of teams with not enough people to field the JV team might just say, let's just play varsity only. So
why is that? I mean, is it a COVID thing, or is it
I don't want to speak on each
there?
team because I don't really know. I mean, I think every team's kind of different. So I'm not sure what each team is kind of dealing with. But I know in the past there have been, a handful of teams that just don't have enough numbers in a normal setting just to field the JV team and the varsity, because obviously you're only allowed to play 6 quarters per night. They extended that. It was 5 last season, and they extended it to 6 quarters per evening that you're allowed to play. So now JV players can play 2 quarters in JV and still play the full 4 quarters in varsity. So they're trying to give teams a chance for JV games with extending the quarters, but it's still not helping some of these programs.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Yeah, it's real disappointing that even though the basketball talent has gotten much better, the participation in boys and girls basketball is down significally for whatever reason.
Well, I think it's just because people are starting to specialize a little bit more in the sports that they want to play. You see a lot of people that I want to focus on softball. I want to focus on volleyball. I want to go and play travel volleyball. And unfortunately, if you're playing travel volleyball, you're not going to have a lot of time to go play high school basketball, and vice versa. If you're playing, if you're going to working on hitting and playing some winter indoor softball, you're not going to have a lot of time to go and play for a high school basketball team.
I can only speak on this on experience in terms of talking with collegiate coaches and in terms of sheer numbers with the process of the pro teams drafting. Those that concentrate on one sport, you're making a mistake.
The only time I would advocate for it is if you're like one of those kids that you're going to go to a Power 5 championship competing school.
Yeah.
Then you can work on your craft and not play 3 sports and grind yourself out. You don't want an injury, et cetera, et cetera. You can work on your pitching, whatever it may be. But unless you're one of those select 1%, there's no reason not to play 3 sports, in my opinion, or multiple sports at least.
I agree with that. I've talked to so many college coaches, whether it be in the SEC down in the South when I lived down there, whether it be with Youngstown State, a couple of other communities in Ohio, MAC schools and whatnot. I've talked with coaches and to a large majority, and almost unanimous, they've said we're not going to be interested in someone that's just a one sport wonder, because if you're playing football and in the off season, I don't know how many football coaches have told me on the collegiate level, if you have a wrestling program, get into that. If there's basketball, get into that. You can do footwork. Basketball is going to improve your footwork and other things. It's every sport is going to improve on your sport of choice, right, or your best sport, which gives you an opportunity for a prestigious scholarship. Every sport will ultimately work in some facet on your game.
And the only states where that's like an exception to the rule are Texas and California, where there just aren't a lot of small schools. And there's so much talent in each sport that you don't see a lot of multiple sport athletes, especially in California. I mean, you look at that and you just go. I was talking to one of the softball players during my summer blog for the Hot Corner about being a multiple sport athlete, and she's from California, and she goes, that really doesn't happen a lot in California because there's no opportunities to really be a multiple sport athlete because every program already has top-notch talent because they're so big schools.
Sure.
So
unless you're in one of those small schools where you can be a multi-sport athlete, then
But we're sitting here in the Valley. There's like every program on this wall probably has multiple sport athletes in their programs.
Even the biggest schools.
Even the bigger ones.
Absolutely. Boardman and Fitch, they have multi-sport athletes.
We can't really look at California and what they're going through because their schools blow our schools in size out of the water. So
yeah. Well, and it's just, the big schools, obviously, you're not going to have very many multi-sport athletes in the really, really gigantic schools. Now, when I was a kid growing up, and again, I graduated in the early 80s, Bernie Kosar was a 3-sport athlete. Bernie Kosar he was probably the best quarterback I ever seen on the high school level, but he was a sensational baseball player. I mean, he was a really, really good baseball player, and he wasn't too shabby at basketball either. He was a big body. He would rebound and score double doubles. He would get over 10 points a game and close to 10 rebounds a game. He was a pretty solid post player at 6'5".
I bet if you talk to his teammates on the basketball and baseball teams, they would tell you that his leadership really shined through on those sports that weren't football.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's when you carry over that winning mentality. You carry over the standard it takes to be great, and you feed that into the players that are just playing baseball or just playing basketball, and it kind of bleeds into the program.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the multi-sport athlete, and I'm a firm believer that the more sports you play, I mean, even if you have a sport that you believe you have a really good chance to be a scholarship athlete. Sports in the off season, that's huge. And every sport can still work on your favorite sport to play, whether it be if you're like I said, if you're football, if you're not playing wrestling, or if you're not wrestling, and wrestling is clearly important, especially for offensive and defensive linemen for the balance and whatnot. In basketball, footwork. The footwork, the strength, core strength, especially if you're a post player in basketball. It's the durability and the running is going to keep you in shape from that perspective.
Your quote unquote position players in football, the agility that it takes to play basketball.
Oh goodness, yeah.
You should definitely work on that craft, and if you can. If you can run on a basketball court, it'll make it a lot easier running on a football field with pads on.
No question, no question about that. Yeah. And if you're you extend that to track and field, if you want to keep the endurance and running in track and field. Now, if you want to play baseball, hand-eye coordination, especially if you're a receiver. Hand-eye coordination. Now it's a little bit different because you're trying to hit a round ball with a round object, but hand-eye coordination is hand-eye coordination.
Well, hand-eye coordination in the field, too, even when you're not batting.
Sure.
That'll help. And once again, footwork. Footwork in baseball. It's one of the overlooked parts, but it's very important. So, how you're running up on a ball in the outfield, how you're getting under it, your crow hop when you're throwing into the infield. All that footwork is very important. So when you're working on, when your footwork's important in the sport that you're focused on, baseball can help with your footwork.
Yeah, and you flip over to the girls' side of things, volleyball, basketball, softball, they're all interconnected in one way, shape, or form. So is track and field.
They're cohesive.
Absolutely.
And unless you're Jackie Christie, and you can play 5 different sports in a season,
Where does she put all of those letters on her jacket?
I don't know.
I mean, seriously. That jacket's going to be filled with.
I think she's just stacking them. I think she's stacking them, so it's one of those 3D illusions on the P in the back. So.
Yeah, I'm just really looking at this, going, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. Yesterday, we were given a very valuable lesson yesterday in the National Football League. the Pittsburgh offered all of the playoff wannabe teams a very valuable lesson in that this game against the Ravens yesterday, I think everyone thought, oh, man, this is just going to be a blowout, and Pittsburgh will win this game going away by a ton of points. And as it turns out, Steelers struggled. In a big way, they struggled. They only put up 19 points, and Baltimore wound up scoring 14 on a weird play that gave them the touchdown that pulled them to within 5. But
yeah, and imagine if Luke Wilson hangs on to that ball before halftime. I mean, it was in his hands. He should have caught it. Despite the terrible time management by the Ravens, that should have been a touchdown. I mean, ball hits in your hands. You're an NFL receiver. You should catch that ball. So, yeah, you're right. Everyone on that field is a professional athlete. They're still the top 5%, 2% really, of the sport. So you got to respect every opponent you play.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin is good at that. I mean, he said when they were playing the Jaguars, his attitude is, we're going to play a professional football team. And he was not happy with the Steelers yesterday. You saw it in his press conference. He was very animated about how that wasn't the Steelers standard. And that's what makes that program, that whole, I'm stuck on high school and college calling them programs. That's what makes that whole franchise great, is their standard of excellence. They won. And he's like, that's all we did. We won. That's the only thing we did right.
Yeah. Quoting Coach Tomlin, to be bluntly honest, I'm really disappointed in our performance tonight. We did enough to win tonight. That's all. And he called the effort a junior varsity level type of effort, which... And then
when someone asked him about all the drop balls, he just said, because we sucked.
Yeah. There you go. I think that... If all of the playoff contenders saw this game yesterday, two things. Number one, you better take every single team that you play, even the non-playoff teams, you better take them seriously, and you can't assume anything because this is the NFL. And you're right on the comment you made, the top 2% of the athletes. Look, even if they're backup players or players off of the practice squad, they're still National Football League caliber players, and you got to respect your opponent. Otherwise, that opponent's going to wind up biting you in the backside and could very well cost you a playoff spot.
Yeah, and what Hollywood Brown, he got loose, and then all of a sudden, that's a game. And Hollywood Brown's one of the more dynamic receivers in the league. So how you let him get open space, that's just one of the things that Mike Tomlin's probably going to be really upset about when he looks at film is how in the heck that happened to his secondary.
Yeah, the other thing, the takeaway, and it's for the Steelers, it's gone
also, awful. I was about to say that the injury.
Yeah, Dupree's injury is that's a monumental injury for the Steelers because Dupree was having a really, really good year, and he's a solid part of that defense. That's a really tough blow for the Steelers. No two ways about it, but. Pittsburgh survived. They go to 11-0 on the campaign. They'll play next Monday against the Washington Football Club, formerly known as the Redskins. Can't call them the Redskins anymore. So that's the Washington Football Club. They'll play them on 1 week from Monday. And then, 1 week from Monday, they'll play...
you want to say things about Washington, but they're fighting for a division just as much as the Giants are.
Yeah. No, they play them this coming Monday. My mistake. They play them this coming Monday. 4
wins right now from Washington. I mean,
yeah, and they're still alive in that god-awful NFC East.
They've been playing a little bit better with Alex Smith as a starter.
Sure. So they play I almost said Redskins. They play the Washington football team on Monday, and then 6 days later they're going to go to Orchard Park and play the Bills.
By the way, they have to play Monday after playing a Wednesday.
That's tough.
Yeah, Thursday,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's only 4 days. Yeah. And
and Thursday they're not doing anything. They have to recoup their bodies, and they're probably off today, doing mandating their body and everything like that. So they're probably not going to get on the practice field until Friday.
Well,
so you really got 2 days of live practice because Sunday's probably like a walkthrough.
In a hard-hitting game like Steelers-Ravens normally is, I mean, the veterans, it takes a while for them to recoup. I mean, 4 days may not be enough time to get ready, but hey, you got to play on Monday. That is what it is. Ravens are going to play the Cowboys on Tuesday, and then they get ready for a showdown with Cleveland the following Monday, not this Monday, but next Monday, up in Cleveland.
It's a must-win if the Ravens want to go to the Super Bowl playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. Now they're going to need to basically win out now, and not that they can't. You know,
they absolutely can because the
Yeah.
rest of their schedule, even the Browns, they're favored in that game. So right now, I should say right now,
Yeah.
they're favored in that game. And then the rest of their schedule minus the Browns, winnable.
Yeah, as long as Baltimore can get healthy and COVID-free, I think that they have a legitimate chance to run the table. Although that game against Cleveland, that's going to be a huge game for the Ravens. And we mentioned the Steelers, no rest for the weary. They're back at it on Monday against Washington, and then the 3 games in 12-day grind is going to finish on Sunday night, 1 week from tonight in Orchard Park against the Bills.
The thing I'm worried about for Cleveland is if Tennessee pops that bubble, this week and beats them, does that turn into a 2-game losing streak when they go and play the Ravens?
This is one of the reasons why, if you were a Browns fan, you had to root for the Steelers yesterday, because now you've got a 2-game lead on the Ravens, and you bring up the point of all points. If Cleveland were to lose to Tennessee, okay, you still have a 1-game lead, assuming Baltimore takes care of business against the Cowboys, which, pretty good chance of it happening. Browns still have a 1-game lead on Baltimore going into their epic showdown 1 week from Monday in Cleveland. So this win by the Steelers was so vitally important for the Browns. Now, if the Browns beat Tennessee, they go to 9-3. They get a winning season for the first time since 2004.
You win this week. You almost. I don't know if they'll clinch a playoff spot. Probably not officially, but it's one of those. You might as well lock in a playoff spot.
Yeah, as long as you don't crap on yourself. Yeah, as long as you don't lose the final 4 games of the year, which if they lose to the Jets, frankly, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. But as long as you don't crap on yourselves, they beat Tennessee. They're in really, really good shape for a playoff spot. That game Sunday is huge for the Browns. And for the Steelers, they go to 11-0. Okay, look, if the Browns lose, you're looking at 7 no, wait a minute. The Browns are 8. No,
I'm looking at the rest of the
Browns
Steelers.
are 7-3. Okay. The Browns are the Browns got to be 8-3. They're not 7-3.
They're 8-3.
Yeah. So if the Browns lose to the Ravens and the Steelers win and beat the Skins or beat the Washington Football Club, doggone it, then you're looking at a 4-game lead. 4 games left. Steelers ultimately win the division.
Yeah, you're right. And then when I look at the rest of the Steelers' schedule, I'm thinking, oh man, they could legitimately go 16-0.
And now you're looking at it.
It scares me as a Chiefs fan.
Well, yeah. If it's now if Pittsburgh loses a game, then I would think that the Chiefs are going to wind up getting home field advantage, especially if Pittsburgh loses to an AFC team.
Right.
Then Kansas City would have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
What's that tiebreaker?
Best conference record.
Well, if they don't lose, if the Steelers don't lose to an AFC North opponent, then they would win that because they'd go undefeated in the North, and the Chiefs lost to the Raiders.
Well, I think the first one is conference record. Then I think the second one is common opponents.
But if the Steelers don't lose to the Bengals or the Browns, then they would have a better conference record, even if they lost a game.
No, conference, not divisional. In terms of the whole AFC, they would have the same record. Well, here's where I think if the Bills beat the Steelers, you'd be in great shape because that's now a common opponent for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs buried Buffalo, which I don't really care to discuss. But if Buffalo beats Pittsburgh, then ultimately Kansas City would get home field advantage.
What was that score, that game?
I don't want to talk about it. Look, I don't want to talk about the beatdown they had against Tennessee. That was just God. It was awful. That was just awful. But no, I'm looking at the. Good Lord, you look at the schedule the rest of the way for the Steelers. You got 5 games left. You've got a A game against Washington, which should be a win. Buffalo, 3 games in 12 days. I don't think they win, but if they do. Cincinnati, Indianapolis at home. Cleveland on the road. 16's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'd be so upset if 15-1 gets a 2 seed.
Yeah, 15-1 gets a 2 seed this year. That would be awful. That would suck.
I mean, the home field advantage is gone because no one can come to the game. So, in a sense, it's not the worst thing imaginable if you have to go to Pittsburgh to win a playoff game. But still,
well, here's the other thing: what happens if they bubble
right.
after the first
the
round?
whole,
after the first round playoff games, the
whole
final
idea,
4 teams.
The only advantage the Steelers have at that point is they just don't have to play as many games.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're sitting at home and then waiting to go to a city of wherever Goodell decides to play the AFC
and
bubble.
He'll probably go into a dome.
Oh, Indianapolis would be the answer.
Right.
Now, but if Indianapolis is one of the 4 teams, that's kind of unfair because it's their home field. I mean, it would kind of be unfair if that were the case.
There's no fans allowed.
Well, if there's no fans
So
allowed.
what advantage is it being their field and give them without a home?
I mean,
without a home crowd?
their familiarity of the field. I mean, I don't know what it would translate to, but the familiarity of the field would be somewhat of a tangible home field advantage. I mean, look at all the dome stadiums currently. Well, Detroit's not a playoff team. Do you put all the AFC games in Detroit?
Maybe.
Put them at Ford Field? Maybe. The NFC, Dallas is going to be a dome. Now, if Dallas doesn't win the division, nobody goes to the playoffs.
By the way.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't, then that makes sense. Put everything in Jerry's joint and just go from there. Because you don't want to put everything in New Orleans.
Minnesota's also an option.
If Minnesota doesn't go in the playoffs, Minnesota's definitely an option.
But that's like far away from a lot of the AFC teams when we're looking at the playoff picture.
Yeah.
Most of them are over here: Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Tennessee, Miami. Most of those AFC teams that we're talking have a legitimate shot at the playoffs. They're kind of over in the East, and you're taking them to Minnesota.
Well, I mean, look. I mean, let's look at the AFC. I mean, Pittsburgh is going to probably wind up winning the North. Buffalo's going to probably wind up winning the East. Kansas City's going to win the West. Tennessee has a leg up right now in the South. Who knows? Tennessee or Indianapolis. Well, they get the 4 winners. Cleveland, unless they crap on themselves, will be a playoff team. Miami might be a playoff team. Baltimore, the Raiders. One of those teams will make the playoffs. The 3 wild card teams. Put them all in Detroit. That's not bad. Buffalo, not a bad drive. Cleveland, not a bad drive. Pittsburgh, no, that's not bad.
Kansas City would have the biggest gripe.
It's
but
is it really a gripe?
10 hours?
I mean, it's not really a gripe. I mean, you're not playing in front of fans, so, there you go. Speaking of not playing in front of fans.
What a segue.
This is the second time now that the Honorable Mike DeWine, governor of the state of Ohio, has come out and suggested that perhaps high school sports should be played without any fans. And it didn't go over well the first time, to the point when he had that little statement of his, 20 minutes after his speech, the OHSAA flat out said, we're going to let parents come in to see the games.
At the end of the day, even though HSA has no control over whether or not parents are allowed, I mean, they can say, hey, parents are allowed, but if the school or the county or whatever, the health department says no fans, period. I mean, that's just one of the things.
Yeah. See, and I hope that if this becomes a reality, I want everyone to make this has got to be made abundantly clear. This is not the choice of the schools. This is not the choice of the OHSAA. If this, in fact, comes about and Governor DeWine basically puts his foot down and says, this is how it's going to be, this is going to be a Governor DeWine decision. And all the slings and arrows, proverbial, of course, you can just send him his direction.
Well, I feel like if they do that, then the schools will just halt sports until January 4th. Because I don't think the schools want to put the parents in that position where they're playing without the parents. So then it's up to the schools if you want to play or not with no fans. I think a lot more schools would just say, "Oh, right, let's just put a pause until January 4th when we can allow fans into the."
Well, and again, there's no guarantee of
no
that.
No guarantee, but at least at January 4th they can reconvene and I just when you leave it up to the schools, I feel like a lot of schools are going to want to deal with the chaos of saying we're not allowing parents into the gym, because that's a lot of angry people at your door if you do that.
Well,
and a lot of people, no matter how much we say it, they're going to blame the school. They're going to blame the people making the decisions.
Sure.
And I don't know how many schools really want to deal with that riot.
And I hate to say this, but the parents are going to have a valid point. Look, I mean, I should be able to see my kid play.
God forbid your kid gets hurt and you're not in the gym.
Exactly. What happens? Let's assume for a second, and this is, I don't even want to think about this, but you just brought up the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. Let's say that this goes on, and a school abides by what Governor DeWine says and says, all right, listen, it's not our decision, it's Governor DeWine's decision, but y'all can't be in the gymnasium. Boys, girls, basketball, whatever, you're not allowed. This has to be played in front of nobody. So what happens if a kid gets injured? What happens if a kid breaks a bone, twists an ankle, does something to the point where the first instinct is mom and dad need to be going down there and taking care of little Tommy or little Mary? This is something that is not going to sit well with anybody.
Devil's advocate on the other side, people are going to say, well, what if the kid gets hurt on your school trip to Cedar Point or your school trip to Camp Fitch or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
I mean,
you bring up a good point.
Eventually the parents just have to put their trust in the people that the school puts in place to take care of their kids, and whether that be the coaching staff, medical trainers, whatever it may be. I mean, just playing the other side of that argument.
You bring up a really good point. Emmanuel, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
Well, how you brothers doing today?
I'm good. Good. Yourself?
Okay. I was listening to a lot of your conversations, but I heard Anthony talking about the Salem Poland basketball game. But my question is, to both of you guys, is it time now to at least, in the last 2 minutes of a high school basketball game, to be able to advance the ball to half court if you have a timeout?
I like the idea.
If you bring it up and then call a timeout, then you inbound the ball past half court. But you can't do that if you're inbounding and then timeout and then let's get it. I don't know.
I like the idea.
I don't. Poland's going to be really upset about that because Poland loves the press, and if you do that, it kind of takes out their full court press. No, I want a team in the last 2 minutes to earn it by breaking a press and have to go down the length of the court and beat a press. I mean, otherwise you're just handing them the ball. I don't know. I don't like it. I think you have to at least get the ball past half court to call the timeout and then set up something past half court.
I mean, the defensive part of me would agree with Anthony, but I like the idea, the intrigue of, okay, this team is going to call a timeout in the backcourt. Now your defense is going to be challenged because the ball's now going to be inbound at half court, and now your defense is going to have to really perform in a big way.
Most teams that are advancing the ball are already up, and they just want it. So if you're putting you're already saying my defense is going to be tested because we have to full court press and get a real steal or foul really quick. Why are we testing the defense even more by saying now you have to guard them in the half court? I don't know. I think I would rather see a team have to get through a full court press in order to call a timeout at half court and then set up an offense that way. It's my preference.
Okay, now you guys, to move on into another subject, you guys can stop me when you heard this before about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, geez, Ben's just threw another interception in the end zones. Oh, geez, our specialty team almost cost us the game. Oh, geez, we can't run the ball. Have you heard that before?
I think I've heard all three of them before, actually. And let me answer that, Emmanuel, by saying, oh, geez, the Steelers are 11-0.
By the way, DJ Oakley just texted our group chat. James Harrison is getting a physical. Don't want to read too much into that.
Get the hell out of here. Are you serious? Well, he has kept himself in pretty good shape. Have you seen that commercial where he plows over a jabroni trying to outrun him? I'd have sat back and go, yeah, just hit me now and please don't hit me on my ugly side, which then you can't hit me. So there you go.
So and I heard you guys talking about 15-1. I'm gonna tell you something that's worse than that. Go 10-6 and don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Browns did that in 2004. Yeah, there you go.
So the bottom line is, Pittsburgh is work in progress, and we're trying to get that home field, and we're keeping an eye on what Kansas City is doing, and I believe if we don't lose to anybody from the AFC, we lose one game, and we go undefeated through the AFC. I think that will give us home field advantage, won't it?
Yes. Yeah, the conference record, head-to-head is first, but they didn't play each other. Conference record would be second. If Pittsburgh were to lose to an NFC team, and the only NFC team left on their schedule is Monday night against the Washington Football Club. So if you're going to lose a game, lose to them.
I thought that game was moved. I thought that game was moved to Tuesday.
Ravens are moved to
the
Tuesday.
Ravens are moved to Tuesday.
So I thought the Washington game was moved to Tuesday.
No, the Washington game is going to be prior to the Bills 49ers game. Washington and Pittsburgh will play the early Monday night game, late afternoon, and then the Bills will play the 49ers in Arizona in the Monday night game.
And the last thing, right? I'm kind of hoping that Michigan doesn't play us. And I'm kind of hoping we finish with 5 games. Because
you have Michigan State play you first.
Well, we're going to beat Michigan State.
Yeah, but they might not play.
But they're going to play.
Okay.
Did you hear Ward Manuel's comments, Michigan's AD? Oh, my God, did he go off on, without mentioning Herb Street's name, he went off on Herb Street. Yeah, it was, wow.
But let me tell you guys this. Let me tell you, can you get back to this? Let me tell you guys this. Now, there's this rumor going around. And, you guys can get to the bottom of it. But I think it was Bernie Kosar's junior year. I think the Boardman schools had a strike.
Yes, after the 5th game.
And I thought they played 5 or 6 games, and I guess they were undefeated. They even beat us. Both teams were warned. And they say that was the best Boardman team ever, but it didn't make the playoffs because they didn't play enough games.
Yes. Yeah, I can tell you that Bernie Kosar threw for over 300 yards against Don Butchie's Cardinal Mooney team. Buried Warren Western Reserve, and there's 3 other teams that they played. No, I will flat out say my junior year in high school, that was Boardman's greatest football team they have ever put together, and we'll never know what happened because the teachers went on strike that Sunday. After Boardman got their 5th win, the teachers told the school board at Boardman, hey, we're going on strike. And that strike lasted, I want to say, 7 weeks it lasted. And I actually, the best part of all of that was the high school chemistry teacher getting arrested and being handcuffed and put into a squad car because he got into a beef with one of the people from Boardman, and actually got fisticuffs involved where they had to arrest him. It was an ugly strike, but I will tell you, Emmanuel, had Boardman's teachers not gone on strike that year, there is a very, very good chance Spartans win a state championship that football season.
Okay, so thinking like that, if we only play 5 games and we don't go to the college championship, and we go out there and beat somebody from the Pac-10 or beat somebody from the Big 12, we finish undefeated. We don't care who wins the college championship because we're undefeated. We're Ohio State, and we can argue we're number 1. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
If Ohio State gets 5 games, I would just be hard-pressed, me personally, to keep them out of the playoffs because you look at the tape, and I don't care how many games they've played, you look at the tape and you can tell they're one of the top 4 teams in the country.
They're good.
Period.
There's no 2 ways about that. They're good.
And to say that Florida's better than them because they just played more games, I think is kind of weird.
Well, what if Florida beats Alabama in the championship?
Ohio State's screwed out of a
well,
playoff spot.
So that's what I'm saying. So go ahead. You guys go ahead and beat each other up. We'll go undefeated, and we'll argue with you about who's always the best.
But you don't pull a UCF. Don't be like, we're undefeated, so we're the champions. Because everyone,
I think we'll take our chances.
Everyone spit on UCF for doing that because you can't do that. You can't say we didn't go to the playoffs, but we're undefeated, so we're still the national champion.
Anthony, you talking about that other OSU? Like Oklahoma State University or University of Ohio, but the OSU. You guys have a nice day.
You too, Emmanuel. By the way, wasn't that UCF team beaten by Cincinnati this year?
That UCF, but back in 2017, they were beaten by nobody.
I'm just throwing out the fact that Cincinnati has,
Cincinnati's got a shot.
Cincinnati is a good team.
7th?
4, yes. Yeah, because they have A&M 5, Florida 6.
They won't get in unless something weird happens.
And Cincinnati 7. Well,
unfortunately.
Look, I mean,
hey, if Cincinnati goes undefeated, they can just play Ohio State for the national championship then. Wow. For the Ohio championship. I would like that.
You're stirring Kool-Aid today, young man.
If they both don't make the playoffs, put those two in a bowl game. And let's have the Ohio.
I would love to see
the Ohio Bowl.
I would love to see those two in the Fiesta Bowl or something of that nature.
Because if Cincinnati's probably not going to make the playoffs, but if they don't, they're going to go to a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah,
against a Power 5
You would think.
Team. So they're going to either be playing, Texas A&M, Florida, Ohio State, whatever. Whoever doesn't make that playoff. If it happens to be Ohio State, I would kind of be in that. You would be watching that closely because you've come out and said on the air, you can't deny it, that you think Cincinnati would beat Ohio State.
I never said they would beat them. I said I'm not convinced that Ohio State is the best team in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, okay. So,
I'm not convinced of it.
Okay, so if they played...
Then I would be convinced of it one way or the other. I think Cincinnati would give Ohio State a great game.
You know what, but if that happened before the game, I'm going to make you pick so you can't do the wishy-washy.
No, I'll
make you pick
absolutely,
again.
Absolutely. But no, I have said I don't think that it's a slam dunk that they're the best team in the state of Ohio.
If you had to pick a better team right now, who would you pick?
If the game were in a neutral facility, a field goal either way. Honest to God, I think a field goal either way. It's probably Ohio State, but I'm not convinced that. Let me put it this way: that would not be a game that I would sit back and say without any question, this is what's going to happen. I couldn't do it because those two teams are that evenly matched. I think it would be a great game. Now, if you're a Buckeye fan, assuming that Florida and Alabama meet up in the SEC title game, you're rooting hard for Alabama because if Florida beats Alabama, one-loss Alabama is going to get into the playoffs long before undefeated Ohio State.
Can you imagine if somehow, some way, Tennessee beats Florida?
Oh, God, I'd be celebrating. I would be celebrating so much. Yeah. UT...
We'd be singing Rocky Top all week.
I kind of have a kindred spirit with UT because I spend so much time in the volunteer state, albeit on the western side. I've never understood why people in West Tennessee root for Tennessee instead of Memphis. And I don't understand that one at all, but whatever.
Well, come on. That's like saying, why do people in Southern Ohio root for Ohio State instead of Cincinnati?
This is true. That's a great point. Both are Cincinnati and Memphis.
And I deal with it too. When I go to Georgia, it's like, I'm in Atlanta. Why is everyone rooting for UGA? Why do I go to the store and I find
But that's different.
It's not.
No, it is because they're two Power 5 conferences. They're both Power 5 conferences. Memphis and Cincinnati aren't. I can sort of understand why you'd not want to root for the mid-major. Okay, I get it. Understand that. I mean, but little brother is ready to beat the hell out of big brother. I'm just saying, if Ohio State and Cincinnati were to play in a bowl game, I think that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be so much fun to watch. Now, would it get ratings? I think it would in Ohio. It would. I don't know outside of Ohio. I'd love to see.
Remember, though, Last year's LSU Alabama championship was the lowest rated championship of any of them.
Sure.
So people that think that ESPN somehow wants all the SEC,
No,
they don't, because that's a rating tank.
they want the best. They want the best matchup.
They would love Ohio State, Alabama, or something, because that will give
Two blue-blooded schools.
right, and the
Absolutely.
that would give the ratings.
Yeah, you put Clemson in a championship game, Notre Dame in a championship game, you would have a crap load of fans watching it. The ratings would be ridiculous. Notre Dame and Ohio State in a playoff game, the ratings would dwarf the other game.
I would love to see the ratings in this area, because if you're not an Ohio State fan, I feel like there's a lot of Notre Dame fans in this area.
Oh yeah,
because of the Catholic and the Irish kind of blood in this area.
I would tell you right now, the Italian American club would be filled in 50-50 split, because there's a ton of Notre Dame fans that are members of that club, which I'm a proud member of, and there are a ton of Buckeye fans. So Notre Dame and Ohio State play each other. That place is full, and you got 50% Scarlet Gray.
Not really, because we're in COVID.
Well, yeah, in COVID now, everyone would be 6 feet apart, wouldn't be a full place.
Man, I hate this.
God, I hate COVID so much. Just sucks so bad. And that's the damn shame of it, is the fact that you're not going to have a capacity crowd for anything.
The ratings go up, though.
The ratings will be huge. Much like if Governor DeWine...
What are the Super Bowl ratings going to be this year?
As we all go and circle around to the one and only Mike DeWine, if no fans are allowed, our ratings are going to be phenomenal.
Can you imagine the ratings of the Super Bowl? My word!
Yeah, it depends on how the game is.
The people that are usually there aren't, so that adds.
True.
Adds 60,000.
But let's have a really, really good Super Bowl. Let's have a great matchup. I don't even know what a great matchup would be in the Super Bowl.
Right now, I think it's looking a lot like maybe Kansas City, Pittsburgh in the AFC, and Green Bay, New Orleans in the AFC and the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, New Orleans. Maybe Seattle gets in there, but I don't think Seattle has enough behind Russell Wilson.
I just don't think there's an NFC team that's worthy of the cachet to match up with the powerhouse AFC team, whether it be Kansas City or
Which is weird, because
Pittsburgh.
coming into this season, we said, man, the NFC stacked and the AFC has maybe 2 teams.
Yeah.
Well, that changed.
That ain't the case now. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, Rob Schmidt coming up in just a bit. We'll get the latest out of Youngstown State University. Do we have non-conference games prior to conference play?
I saw they're still looking for a non-conference schedule, because I saw it on Twitter. They put it out there. So they're still trying to find teams to play non-conference.
This is kind of the dating app version of college sports. Wanted.
Swipe right.
Great program. And you get a picture of your program. Nah, too ugly.
Nah, swipe left.
Nah, she smokes.
Swipe left.
Yeah. Oh, this team, they'd probably kick our ass.
Swipe left.
I feel like we've got a dating app going on right now in terms of college football teams trying to play each other in a non-conference game.
Oh, man.
Good God, this COVID sucks. 330-886-0813, Rob Schmidt.
Welcome to D1Only.com.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You've heard of FarmersOnly.com? No. D1Only.com. Your chance to hook up with a great D1 program. Back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
Boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our
Good
valley.
afternoon. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
To Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown, as Anthony takes a sip out of his what is that called again?
It's a Yeti.
A Yeti. Okay. The Yeti. The Yeti. Nice little. What would that be called? A
Rambler. I think they
Rambler?
call these size a Rambler. A Yeti Rambler.
Yeah, Greenwood Chevrolet provided us with Yeti Ramblers, and I brought that home, and as predicted,
your mom took it.
Oh, absolutely, she did. She looked at me and she goes, "Are you going to be using that?" I'm like. Get away from that, woman.
Get away. And then she said, I brought you into this world,
and
Ron.
I can take you out. Exactly what she said. All right, 330-886-0813. Before the break, Anthony and I were basically comparing FarmersOnly.com to Division I basketball, in that everyone needs to, find their mates. In this case, everyone needs to find an opponent. Well, we bring in the Chris Harrison of matchmaking, and that would be the YSU men's play-by-play broadcaster, Rob Schmidt. Actually, Rob, wouldn't Ron Strollo be the part of Chris Harrison in this?
No, it actually might be assistant coach Chinawonku. Chin actually handles the scheduling for the men's basketball program.
All right, well, we'll kindly get him with about a dozen roses, so where he can call Westminster and Teal and Murray State and some of these other schools, and he can say, will you accept this rose?
Last night, it came across my phone that Purdue Fort Wayne had to pause its basketball operations because of someone on the team or someone on the staff or multiple players tested positive with COVID-19. So Fort Wayne right now is in quarantine for 2 weeks. And that means they were supposed to play today against Adrian. They had a myriad of schools that now they can't play within this 2-week window. So I kind of copy and pasted what I saw and sent it to Chin and said, hey, if you're looking for games, Fort Wayne right now is in quarantine. And he already knew about it. It's amazing how quick it spreads as far as trying to find games and teams that are looking for opponents. And they're in that boat right now. Even the basketball managers went on Twitter last night and posted, hey, YSU is looking for games between December 12th and 16th. Anybody interested? Get in touch with the YSU men's basketball program. So they're trying everything right now to find somebody.
Rob, I just feel like this is a dating site waiting to happen now.
Yeah.
I I mean, it just, and I think we now have a slogan now, with all due respect to farmersonly.com. Our slogan is, you don't have to be winless at D1only.com.
But it can't be D1 only because they'll go down to D3.
Well, that's true. We're not particular now. We can do it at collegeball.com, I guess. We'll go from there.
The thing, they're trying to find, hopefully trying to find a couple of non-D1s to get yourself acclimated to playing again, and then a couple of D1s to kind of step up the competition and get ready for league play, which is, set to begin December 19th. So their window of trying to find some opponents is dwindling, and the amount of games they can play if they don't get anything scheduled here is dwindling. I mean, worst case scenario, you at least want to get 2 games in the weekend before you begin league play against anybody, but preferably a Division I opponent.
Rob, you and I talked a little bit about this off the air a couple of days ago, and now that Purdue-Fort Wayne doesn't look like they're going to even be starting the league play unless things get sped up. To me, I think it would make sense if you did geographical stuff and stayed in your own state. Now, obviously, Pennsylvania, you can't go into Ohio because if you do, then you go back to Pennsylvania, and by law, their law, you'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, that's not going to happen. So Robert Morris has to pick a college or a state in which they can actually go from their state to the state that they're planning on playing in, and then they can go back to Pennsylvania and not quarantine. It makes perfect sense from our perspective. You've got Wright State, you've got Cleveland State, and you've got Youngstown State at home in Ohio. If Cleveland State and Youngstown State played each other, Wright State could play Northern Kentucky, or at least we assume they can. If not, maybe Wright State can play IUPUI and have Robert Morris play Northern Kentucky. It's just COVID has turned the scheduling into a nightmare right now.
Well, and you talked about Fort Wayne. Their window of getting back is going to be it's going to be very close to the start of league play. I'm not sure when their 14-day quarantine began. Let's just say it began this past Monday. Well, that gives them 5 days to come out, or maybe 6 days to come out of quarantine, get their other tests taken care of, and then try to get a couple of practices in before they begin league play. So, you're talking about Robert Morris. They can. I think they're going to West Virginia next week, I believe, like Wednesday. They're supposed to play the Mountaineers on the 9th. So they can leave Pennsylvania, go to West Virginia because it's a state right now that's outside the travel advisory, and then go back home. But the example was what Kent State just did. They played Point Park out of Pittsburgh yesterday. So everybody's like, well, how can Point Park come to Ohio? Well, they've already canceled their next 3 games, and they don't play until January, like the first week in January. So they're going to quarantine for 2 weeks after playing Kent State yesterday. I'm sure it was a pay game, so they collected a paycheck. But that's where we're at. Is some teams are going to come out of a holding pattern and play for a paycheck, and then go back into quarantine for 2 weeks and get ready for league play. Everybody is scrambling right now, and like we've talked about before, you're going to see teams play or change opponents at the last minute. And I'm not necessarily saying in league play. It could be you're in the middle of league play. Your game against X, Y, and Z is canceled. A team out of another conference has a game canceled. You may see some non-conference games in the midst of conference play because you're just trying to get in the NCAA minimum to make yourself eligible for the NCAA tournament.
Can you just put into words how important it is for YSU to play some games before they go into Horizon League conference play, and how important it is to just get on the floor and play somebody other than yourself before you get into Horizon League?
It's imperative, and I say that, and Anthony as well. It's super imperative, and here's a good example is Oakland has already played 5 games in non-league play. They've only been truly competitive in one of those 5. They got beat by Xavier. They were down in that game by 41. That might have been the margin. They got drilled in their opener against Xavier. They came back and got beat by 30 against Toledo. They were in the game against Bradley, still lost by double figures. They took Michigan into overtime, which is really the only game they've had a chance in, and then just got beat by Purdue by 40. So, they've played 5 games and really have not been competitive in 4 of those 5. But with that being said, they're learning what they have. They're learning a rotation. They're learning what they need to work on. Right now, Greg Campy says it's offense. They've got to get more practice time in to run the sets. He's not been able to get in nearly as many offensive sets as he normally does. So they felt it was more imperative to kind of learn by being thrown into the fire. Northern Kentucky is scheduled to play tomorrow. They've already had 1 game against Ball State. Didn't look good. So we'll see the improvement they make from game 1 to game 2. Wright State finally gets on the floor tomorrow. Milwaukee is still without a game, much like YSU. So, I saw Green Bay the other night against Wisconsin. They looked awful. They only scored 12 points in the first half. So that you don't want to go into a league game when you're not going to play very many games, and the way the schedule is set, you don't want to make that first league game your first live action. You just don't, because you don't know your rotation. You don't know how they're going to shoot it. You don't have a good sense of defensive breakdowns and how you're going to adjust on the fly, and everything the kids have learned. How many offensive sets have you put in? You've got to have some live game action before you start league play to kind of learn a few of those things.
Rob, how surprised are you, both in men's and women's basketball, that all of the D1 schools in the state of Ohio didn't get together and just say, okay, look, we don't want to leave the state. Non-conference games, some of us are going to be in really, really bad shape. Some of the teams are COVID outbreak where you're going to be on the sidelines anyway, but wouldn't it have made sense, and I know it's hindsight, but wouldn't it have made sense if everyone had gotten together, all the D1 schools in the state of Ohio, and said, okay, let's concentrate on having some matchups here and stay in the state of Ohio to make sure that we're not getting out of the state and possibly contracting something from out of state, and help our brothers and sisters within the state of Ohio out?
No, I think it's a good point. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there's 13 Division I schools here in the state of Ohio, between the MAC and the Big Ten and the Horizon and the A10 and those schools such as Xavier and Dayton. So I believe there's 13, if I'm not mistaken, here in the state of Ohio alone. You see a lot of this going on in Michigan right now. Michigan State has played or will play Oakland. Michigan's already played Oakland. Detroit Mercy has games coming up against Michigan State and probably Michigan. You still have the three MAC schools up there in Central, Western, and Eastern. So I think they've done a pretty good job up there of trying to play against one another. I don't know all the ins and outs of who's going to play at what place. I'm sure that's part of it. Hey, we want you to come to our place. We don't want to go to your place. Coaches always look at, hey, I don't want to go to a MAC school, or I don't want to go to a Horizon and get beat. So there's a lot of that. No, what you say philosophically makes perfect sense. I agree. I think it's, if it's important to play games, then let's play games. If it's important to win games, that's what makes scheduling difficult.
Yeah, and the Ohio women's team would have missed the opportunity to go down and upset Notre Dame, which I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to.
Did you really have to say that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, they did. They did a nice job upsetting
beat
them.
by 1.
Yeah, they did.
Well, Bob
sorry,
Bolton's done a great job. He did a great job when he was here at YSU with our women's program, and when he went to OU, he's done a phenomenal job with that program, and continues to do a good job at Ohio. And you've seen, there's been some instances already around the country where you've had teams that were the so-called paid opponent to come in and play that have walked out with a win. So that's what mid-majors always hope for. I think they try to schedule, and pick those teams that they feel that they can beat and collect a paycheck in a normal year. Central Michigan has struggled. I know that's a team that's on some people's radar because they just got beat by 20 by a Division II school. Flagler just beat Central Michigan, I think 92-73, something like that. And the night before, they got beat by 20 by Florida International. So, Central's struggling right now. I think they feel it's probably better to play. But yeah, I mean, to lose to a Division II school it's never good, even in this COVID arena.
Rob Schmidt, the play-by-play broadcaster for the YSU men's basketball team. So the Horizon League play is going to be coming up later in the month, and right now, give us the latest on the on COVID in terms of, have you guys been given the all clear, and for the women, have they been given the all clear?
I'm not. That I can't speak to it, and I apologize to that. What I've tried to do in this era right now is I've really, and I miss it, but I've really kind of taken a hands-off approach. I have not been around our men's program in a good 4 weeks. I haven't been in the coach's office. I haven't been over to Beagley. Now they've been in quarantine, so they have not been practicing. But from what I understand, any day now, obviously they're going to be cleared and can start getting back on the floor to practice. But I've tried to keep my distance because in this era of tiers, the team, the coaches, the managers are considered tier 1, support staff are considered tier 2. When you're in tier 1, you get tested now 3 times a week, and that's expensive for a university to handle. So I think they've tried to limit the amount of people that they need to test 3 times a week. And there was a game, because Coach Calhoun sent the interview with Jay Billis with me to me. There was a team that was playing in one of those tournaments up in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun, and they had to bow out of their game because a member of their radio crew tested positive and was around the players. So they couldn't play that game. They had to end up going home and quarantining. So I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the cause of us losing any games. Either I've contracted it or I pass it. So fortunately, knock on wood, right now I've not been positive, nor do I have any symptoms. But I feel it's better to be safe than sorry. So I really, as much as I'd love to know, I'm catching a lot of stuff on hearsay. So I really don't know right now where our men and women are.
When you finally get to put on the headset and call a YSU game, how different is it going to be from years past when you do get the opportunity to go to practices and kind of have a feel of where the team's at, right before the game? Now you're going to have to do some extra work to kind of get prepared and try to be as prepared as you always are for a game.
No, I don't mind. I'm nervous. I mean, I don't mind telling you. I mean, I'm nervous because I have not seen our guys in live action. I don't really know the newcomers all that well. And in all honesty, and I don't have to right today, but I'm obviously going to have to, I don't have pronunciations down yet. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be rare. It's going to be almost like the days of, when I was covering high school games, and you'd do multiple teams throughout the course of the season, and you didn't have an opportunity to kind of hone in on one particular team that you could watch and focus on and get to know the players so you can recognize them so readily. No, I'm a little nervous, to tell you the truth. I don't know what to expect from this team, or really, any of the nuances of the players that you gather when you're with them at practice, or you're with them at a team meal, or you're with them on the bus, or to shoot around. So I miss that interaction. So I'm going to be learning on the fly for some of this as we go, and I'll have to rely upon Jamie Hall, who is the athletic communications contact for men's basketball. I'll have to talk to the coaches, try to talk to them on the phone, and just ask them as best I can what to look out for. But yeah, no, I don't mind telling you, I'm a little nervous going into the season because of that.
Rob, you also wear many hats within the college. I mean, you're very much a part of the marketing department, not just the play-by-play broadcaster for YSU men's basketball. You're also involved in the marketing department. From the business aspect of this, and that is the fans coming into Beagley, how concerned are you with Governor DeWine making another comment that he doesn't want fans watching sports?
No, it's a constant conversation that we have in this office. with our corporate sponsors. We've they've been very loyal and very supportive, but we've had to kind of move some of their advertising elements around to give them the most exposure, the best awareness, the best opportunity to reach our fans, whether they're in person or listening or watching a live stream. They've been really supportive. But when we go through it every day, are we going to have 300 people at a non-league game here in the next week or two? Is the league, which has already said in the month of December that for all league games you will have no fans. Now, for both the men and women here at YSU, their first 2 weekends are on the road. So even though the women open up a week before the men, their first 2 weekends of league play are on the road. Then they take a break for Christmas. The men who begin league play a week later, which includes playing Christmas weekend, both of their opening 2 weekends are on the road. So they won't be home until January 1 to play league contests. But we're expecting any time before that week of Christmas to get a conversation or have a statement from the league saying, okay, in January we're going to open it up, or in January we're going to have no fans. So we've had to and our ticket people have been great trying to work through this. What they're doing is they're going into it as if we're going to have a minimum amount of fans, so that they're prepared for that. And if we're not allowed, then it's not wasted time, and they've learned a lot and they've learned to adapt. But you just won't be able to print tickets. So we talk about it every day, and we try to approach this as if we are going to have a minimum amount of fans. We just don't know right now if what game we can promote. I think we've got news releases probably ready to go, but we're kind of in a holding pattern, just like waiting for everybody for a game to get scheduled.
Man, this is just a crazy period of time, and I don't agree with much of what the NCAA does, but the decision that they made to give everyone a freebie year. This is by far and away the best thing the NCAA has done, and that was a great decision by them.
It was wrong, but it's also a Band-Aid. I mean, it's a hope that this is a one-year thing, and we're all hoping that. But if it leaks into a second year of spring sports, then what are you going to do? You're going to give another year? You can't keep giving years. So
no, you're right.
Why can't they be Oprah? You get a year, and you get a year, and you get a year.
It's great if we can get past COVID. It's a great thing by the NCAA. If not, then it's one of those things where eventually they're just going to have to. Sorry about your luck. I mean,
the vaccine is going to be so huge, and hopefully we get it soon.
Well, the NCAA, the oversight committee right now, from what I read last night and the day before, the oversight committee is going to recommend to the NCAA that a lot of the student athletes who have I'm speaking basketball only right now, who have transferred. Now, there's been a lot of waivers that the NCAA has granted to make players immediately eligible, but there's also been some waivers that have been denied. The oversight committee apparently is going to make a recommendation to the NCAA that all transfers be immediately granted eligibility. So there are some schools in the horizon who have players sitting on the sidelines right now that could be a huge help to their season that may become eligible. And it's just another one of those things, like these kids getting that year back, where they're just trying to help get these kids to play and live some kind of a normal college experience. And I think that could be the next thing that you see is all waivers are granted, which could help a lot of teams that may have struggled this year and make them immediately competitive. But you're right. I think everybody feels good in the college world about getting in a full or near full baseball and softball season because it's an outdoor sport. Right now I don't hear as much concern over baseball and softball not getting to play as I do the optimism of them getting to play. So hopefully, with the vaccine maybe coming available late spring, we may see those student athletes who were denied a season a year ago getting back to at least full strength this coming year.
Listen, as long as Youngstown State does what I think they're very capable of doing, and we get to see our first ever NCAA Field of 64 appearance, all of this is going to be worth it. I just honestly believe it will be worth it, and then everyone can look back on this and say, man, what a crazy year, but what a great ending as we get our name announced and we get to play in the tournament that Youngstown State has never played in. Now the women have played it in 3 times and have actually advanced to the second round once, but the men have never played in it. And I would just think that, man, if the men get into the NCAA tournament this year or next year, then all of this is going to be well worth it.
And my thing is, no one, if that were to occur this season, regardless of the amount of games you're able to play or the teams that you have to play to get to the NCAA tournament, nowhere should there ever be anybody considering an asterisk like, oh, you only played 15 games and because of COVID you didn't play Wright State or you didn't play Northern Kentucky and you guys got an easy pat. Never should there ever be an asterisk next to this season for whatever any of our teams or even the teams in the Horizon League are able to accomplish. And as you were saying that, I'm thinking no one's going to say, Pittsburgh was 16-0 this year. The Steelers should have an asterisk because of, everything that happened with COVID. Look, your Bills have as good a chance as anybody and probably the best team to beat the Steelers here down the stretch. But should they go 16-0, there should never be any consideration of putting an asterisk next to it because you're right. This is a difficult time to be able to compete. It's everybody's doing things on the fly. If anything, you should be commended because you're able to maneuver your way through these landmines and become successful.
Honestly, I think it's an even tougher obstacle than any other normal year. That's why when the Lakers hoisted an NBA championship, I will never hear that argument. Oh, you got to put an asterisk. No, you don't. They didn't have home field advantage at all. A team normally has home field advantage when they're the top seed. They didn't have any advantage. So I think they had an even tougher road to go.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I think it's just a shame that the word asterisk has been having this like negative tone because all it really is just there's going to be more information than just a season. So in that sense, there should be an asterisk because it's a COVID-shortened season or whatever it may be. But this idea that makes it a negative or that makes it lesser, that's what I have a problem with because all of a sudden, I think it started when the baseball steroid era, this asterisk word has been used to kind of demean something or to lessen it. And I think there should be an asterisk because there's more information to be had about this season, but not in like the negative sense where that's lesser because there's an asterisk. I mean,
you're right. I agree with you completely. It's never easy to win anything and to win a championship, regardless of, shortened season, lengthened season. It's never easy. So, yeah, I agree with you completely. It should never be a negative connotation.
Well, Rob, hopefully next week someone will accept the YSU Rose and maybe we'll get some basketball games.
Keep your fingers crossed, guys.
That's it. Rob, always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks.
See
Always
ya.
fun talking with you.
All right. See you. Rob Schmitz, the YSU men's broadcaster, joining us, as always, every Thursday on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. A lot of folks would, especially down south, when the last few years when I was doing minor league ball, we would go to Mobile, which is the hometown of Henry Aaron. And Hank Aaron was born in Mobile. And as a matter of fact, before Mobile pulled up stakes in the Southern League, they had Hank Aaron's home right near the baseball stadium and made it as a museum. Well, down there, he's the home run king, to which I politely tell everyone, no, he's not. Barry Bonds is the home run king. You guys can sit back and say, well, Bonds was on steroids. Okay.
He probably was, but he never got caught. He never was
got
proven.
caught. And one can also make the argument that Henry Aaron took greenies.
Right.
So, 6-1, half dozen of the other. I don't like Bonds. I've dealt with him 2 or 3 times. One time he was really cool. The other time it was pretty ugly. He's the greatest everyday player that I've ever seen in person. Nowhere near Willie Mays, but he's the greatest everyday player that I have ever seen. I never saw Mays play, but I saw Barry Bonds. Physically go attend a game and see. I saw Willie Mays play last couple of years on TV, but I saw Bonds play a ton of times in person, so he's clearly the benchmark for me.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's when the asterisk kind of came about, as this like negative sensitive. When you put an asterisk next to something, it demeans it or it lessens it, and
I can't do that.
The asterisk is literally just so there's more information to be read. That's what an asterisk is used for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd put an asterisk next to this season, but it's not lesser. It's not because there's something wrong with winning this season. It's just because, hey, this season was different, and you need to know that this season was different.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make it worse. Doesn't make it lesser. It just makes it different.
Yeah, and the other thing, especially if the NFL goes into the bubble, much like the NBA did, Major League Baseball did, and the NHL did. So if football follows suit, now all of a sudden, home field advantage is completely gone. And one would argue that if you win a championship, you have earned this far more because you didn't skate through with home field advantage. You had to actually play games without that home field advantage. So I can argue that the championship is even more prestigious this year in the COVID year.
In the state championships this year for football, every coach, I'm sure if you asked them, they would say that this year was harder than any other year to get to a state championship.
Oh, mentally, that had to have been a grind.
So
for everyone to sit back and say, okay, we're ready to play football, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you because the team you're playing has COVID. So now all of a sudden you get a free week, but you don't want a free week because you prepared all week long for this team, and only to find out that team gets a COVID outbreak. That's tough.
And also tough. That always looming on your team. One little slip, one
Absolutely.
little positive test, we're done. I mean, that's looming. That looming on the team. Every step of the playoffs had to be a mental grind.
And I'm sure it's going to be for the high school basketball campaign. Yep. I mean, the schools that we all have hopes of making a very deep run into the postseason: Struthers, Cheney, Boardman, and a number of other schools. And in girls basketball, West Branch, South Range, Poland, Salem. There's a bunch of schools that we can sit back and go, boy, these kids could make a really deep run, but that looming thing, the 500-pound gorilla in the center floor, you got to make sure that nobody gets COVID. That's a mental grind. And throw on top of it, if Governor DeWine gets his way, nobody's allowed to play or nobody's allowed to watch any games. Damn, that's a steep mountain to climb.
And just from my experience last night in Poland, which was the first, the implemented of parents only was this week.
Yeah.
So it's the first game that I was broadcasting that was parents only. Poland did a really good job of making sure that you had a voucher to even get in the doors to get a ticket. And if you didn't have one of those, you weren't getting into the game, period. So if you didn't have either a media pass or a little pink voucher that said you were allowed to go into the doors to buy a ticket, not even get into the lobby, like you couldn't get into the school unless you had a voucher. So they did a really good job making sure that no one that wasn't a parent got in.
Yeah, one game that has been canceled for girls basketball, the Valley Christian Columbiana game, has been canceled for this evening. Courtesy
this
of...
isn't new, but the Canfield Western Reserve game that was going to be played tonight also canceled. We've known that for about a day, but
yeah. We'll keep everyone updated in terms of games that are on and games that have been canceled. But I got information.
We do have tonight. You're going to be at Lowville.
Yes.
And they are playing Camel.
Yes.
Right?
Camel and Lowville tonight.
Varsity only. Starts at
5:30. So now that I know it's varsity only, we're going to get there at a very prompt time and not have the same thing that happened to us this past Monday.
Lisbon girls are playing Jefferson Christian, not Jefferson area. Different school. Probably from I imagine from the same area. Jefferson. There's not too many Jeffersons in Ohio.
Well,
you never know, though.
What I want to know is their fight song moving on up? It should be. And if they have a pep band, they should be playing the theme from the Jeffersons.
You think Jefferson area should be doing that too?
Absolutely, they should. Absolutely.
Careful. We haven't cleared that. We might get bumped for copyright with your humming of a theme song.
Oh, if it's on YouTube, it's legal. That's all I'm going to say. It's on YouTube. It's legal.
I want to get like a lawyer in my ear. Like
330-886.
We also have Salem and South Range tonight. DJ will have that call.
That is going to be a fantastic game.
Waterloo is going to be hosting Sebring. So
there you go.
Games on the network tonight.
There you go. Again, Valley Christian at Columbiana. That game tonight has been postponed. We'll see if there's a makeup date to follow, but that game has been canceled tonight. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back. Open up the phone lines. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. Back in a bit.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbik with G. Burbik Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbikfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbik Farms, it just tastes better.
With Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Tomorrow, I'm not going to be here. I got the little procedure that's going to be done over at Southwoods, where they're going to cut my skin cancer out. But Running Point will be going on. DJ and Steve Leslie are going to be doing the Friday edition of Running Point. Check out these stars / coaches on the program tomorrow.
We're loaded tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, this is impressive. Steve French, the Springfield boys coach, will lead it off right at 12 noon. John Cullen, the South Range boys coach, will chime in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline at 12:30. Walter Shields, the West Branch girls coach, will call in at 1. Jeff Fischel, South Range head football coach for the girls team at 1:20. Sarah Hamilton, the Salem girls coach, coming off a big win against Poland, and it'll be interesting to hear. It'll be interesting to hear Coach Fischel and Coach Hamilton talk about the Salem South Range
Depending
game.
how that goes tonight.
Absolutely. Sarah Hamilton will be calling it at 1:45, and Keith Gunther, who does a great job with the Ursuline boys basketball team, he'll be calling in at 2:30. So a loaded high school basketball show for the Friday edition of Running Point with Steve Leslie and DJ Yoakley. They'll be filling in for me.
And we want to keep doing that. I mean, the Running Point was made so we can have as much local talk as possible. I mean, so we're gonna keep loading this show with coaches as we go on in this season, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
a lot of good coaches in the area. We talked about it with John Vargo yesterday. The coaching cachet in the area has gone up in the last 5 or 10 years.
And because of that, the talent level has gone up.
Exactly.
Because the good coaches get the kids to play really
you don't
really
say
good ball.
Good coaches get kids to play really well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Captain Obvious moment.
You know, I just saw that Alliance girls program has canceled their next 3 games, and I'm wondering if that's going to make West Branch kind of nervous because they just played
them last night
at Alliance last night. So, you know, I'm sure West Branch is trying to make sure everyone's kind of okay because they have more games, I believe, this weekend. So.
Sure. Contact tracing now.
Right, that's going to be
so now
big.
everyone's going to have to get tested to make sure that they're COVID free, so they can continue playing basketball. And this is yet another example of what we're up against.
Now we don't know that Alliance has had a positive COVID test. They were just saying that their next 3 games on their schedule, I believe it's the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th, have been canceled. So it could be because of COVID. It could be because injuries have lowered their numbers. You know, we're not going to say for sure that we know that Alliance is dealing with a COVID problem. Don't want to do that. But we do know that Alliance has canceled their next 3 games on their schedule. And then West Branch did play at there last night. So if it is a COVID issue, then West Branch would probably be a little bit nervous right now.
Yeah, they would have to test everyone for contact tracing because they just got done playing Alliance last night. So it's
at Alliance too. It wasn't at West Branch.
Yeah, it was at Alliance. Even if it was at West Branch, you still have to do contact tracing. Right. But you know, even more so now that the game was played in Aviator country. So there you go. Michigan Athletic Director Ward Manuel. Oh man, without mentioning Kirk Herbstreit, boy did he lay into this garbage about Michigan.
We didn't get to talk about what Kirk Herbstreit said yesterday. So I missed it. I missed this whole thing. What did he say?
Okay, so while they were doing the whole get together with everyone
the college
saying,
football playoff,
the committee, the committee got together and put the top 4
was this
together.
On the
this was on ESPN.
Okay.
Kirk Herbstreit he didn't basically. He said, "Don't be a bit surprised if Michigan waves the white flag and they don't play Ohio State." And that kind of really didn't go very well, and it got back to the Michigan athletic director, and let's just say he was a bit perturbed. Ward Manuel was more than a bit perturbed at all of this. Quoting him, I think it's ridiculous. I have to pause because my words, the anger. I was infuriated by the insinuation that Michigan would do anything other than play a football game. We've been playing this game since 1879. 1879, and we're the winningest program for a reason. Because we play whoever's in front of us. And the only way we want to keep anybody from moving on is to beat them on the fields of play. And to insinuate that to something else other than that is a statement by a fool. He wasn't finished. I can't tell you how embarrassed I am for the Big Ten Conference to have one of their representatives who played this game to say that about any team in this conference. And to say about college football and the student athletes around this country who are trying to play games during a pandemic, it is ridiculous and sad. Didn't mention Herbstreit by name, but you pretty much know who he was slinging his arrows toward.
I can see where Kirk Herbstreit was going with what he was trying to say, but man, did he word it wrong. Because I don't think he ever meant to say that they would purposely close the game just so they can spite Ohio State. I think what he was saying was they're having a lot of COVID issues, and they're obviously not playing well. So why push the COVID issues to play the game?
Sure.
But man, you word it like that, and
he had to backtrack.
You make a lot of people make it sound like they're just going to surrender because they can't compete with Ohio State. That's especially when you're a graduate of Ohio State, you have to be even more careful about how you talk about Michigan and Ohio State.
Now, let's state the obvious: Michigan can't compete with Ohio State.
No, like that's what when you first brought it up off the air, I was like, was he wrong? No, because Michigan
will get plowed by Ohio State if they play. I mean, they're not a good team right now.
Right.
And I don't know if that could change in the next couple of weeks, but on paper, this is not much of a contest.
No, I kind of throw records out the window because it's Michigan, Ohio State.
Absolutely.
Like, my word. But I still think, like, if everything's equal, Ohio State rolls.
Yes.
But, you never know because it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore kind of proved that.
Here's the other part of this. The Big Ten came out and said, well, anyone that goes into the championship game has to play at least 6 games.
As long as the average number of played games in the conference is above a threshold.
Yes. So, okay, we've already heard that Ryan Day's not going to be coaching this game against Michigan State. Right. Michigan State has had their own problems with COVID, but it looks like this game is going to be played. And if it does get played, then that would be Game 5 of the season for Ohio State. If Ohio State does not play one of these last 2 games, there's a very good chance that Ohio State does not play in the Big Ten championship game, which I don't know if that hurts them or not.
Unless a lot of other Big Ten schools get COVID issues.
Yeah.
Well, here's why. I don't think the Big Ten championship is going to help them because the Big Ten is garbage.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's going to hurt them either. I mean, you got to play it because every game you play, every game you win is more of less of an argument if they didn't play enough games getting to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yes, it helps you in that sense. It will not help you in the sense of it's going to drive you forward because you beat a good team. Because Northwestern went and
lost to Michigan State.
Did what they did.
Yeah.
So, if you're Ohio State, you're hoping you play the Big Ten championship, but at the end of the day, I don't know how much you're losing as far as driving yourself forward if you don't play it. I don't think you're going to show anything else on tape in that 6 championship game that you didn't already show against all the bad teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'll
continue do we really need to see Ohio State blow out Northwestern to prove that they're one of the 4 teams that deserve?
No. And look, Ohio State will get into the postseason provided Alabama doesn't get beat by Florida, assuming Florida beats Tennessee this week. If Florida beats Alabama, then Ohio State's screwed because one-loss Alabama will go to the playoffs before an undefeated Ohio State team, and that may not be. They may not sit
Ohio
well
State
for Buckeye Nation,
like that, but
that's going to happen. It's a shame, but that will happen because.
So then, at that point, the only hope for Ohio State is that Notre Dame gets blown out by Clemson.
And I don't even know if a one-loss Notre Dame team would be put below an undefeated Ohio State team. Although,
if they get blown out,
I think I think that would probably be a strong case for. Ohio
I don't see
State
that defense getting blown out by anybody the way they're playing. So.
Then again, who
knows?
Yeah. Now here's the fly in the ointment. What happens if Clemson loses again to Notre Dame? Do you put a 2-loss Clemson team?
That would help Ohio State too because I think that would jump. You would put Ohio State in ahead of Clemson.
How many Ohio State fans would be willing to root for Notre Dame?
They're not rivals.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I don't think it's on the level of asking a Browns fan to root for the Steelers or asking a Steeler fan to root for the Ravens or Browns, but you'd be surprised.
I think it's just in this area because people are kind of confused why there are so many Notre Dame fans in Ohio State country.
I mean, it's...
So they're like, what are you doing, Notre Dame fan? I hate you.
Yeah. God is more important than state.
Oh, okay.
That's my excuse.
Not the Thomas Jefferson.
No, yeah, that's it. God is more important than state, and that's God's team. Well, they and Boston College, because they're the 2 parochial schools of the bigger parochial school names
We get you.
of college football.
We don't count BYU because Mormons don't count.
Well, wow! You said that. Wow! I didn't. Don't throw that. Don't throw that bad juju at me.
You didn't count them.
Well,
you did not count BYU.
Because
so I'm assuming that's what you're.
BYU's not in the conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they're at number 8, right?
Well, they're behind Cincinnati. I would like to.
Boston College isn't in the conversation
Well,
either.
that's true. No, that's true. I would love to see Cincinnati and BYU play each other, but
No, Cincinnati would roll.
absolutely they would.
I want to see Cincinnati play Ohio State.
That's the game that I would love to see. I'm like I said, I'm still
Especially if Ohio State's really upset that they're not in the championship.
and they want to
They
take out frustrations.
They either want to make a statement or
Yeah.
those games go two ways.
Yeah.
You either make a statement or you don't show up because now it's like, well, we're not in the playoffs. Who really cares?
Yeah.
Be interesting.
But then if they lose to Cincinnati, everyone can make that excuse. Well, they didn't show up.
Well, everyone will make an excuse if they lose no matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
the refs blew the game, or everyone loves to make excuses when their team loses.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I mean, you saw it when Clemson won or lost or whatever that. Yeah, the last time Clemson and Ohio State played.
Yeah, when Ohio State lost based on the
refs blew it.
Yeah, the call that was made, which, by the way, I kind of understand where everyone
But
is coming
do
from.
refs make up one? Like, does one play make a result of the game?
The referees have never, in my mind, they have never cost a team a game.
So can you use that play as an excuse?
Nope.
Nope.
They had 59 minutes and some odd seconds to win the ball game. I do not subscribe to the fact that a referee costs a team a game, because I can make the argument in any
Trust me,
sport.
I've been there. D Ford lined up offsides when we had the game-winning interception against Tom Brady. Would have sent us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't a bad call because he was clearly offsides, but it's still. I mean, we had the whole game to win. One play. I didn't blame D Ford for that loss.
Yeah, 59 minutes and some odd seconds to do some more stuff, and you couldn't do it.
Really sucks. It makes it hurt more.
Oh, absolutely, it does. That's why when people started piling on Ernest Biner when he fumbled the ball, I was like, wait a second. If it's not for Ernest Biner and Kozar in the second half, Cleveland doesn't have a chance to even get back into that game in
Plus,
Denver.
their defense still has to can still just go make a stop.
And when it was tied at 31 and Elway went 4 plays, 80 yards against that god-awful overrated defense, there you go.
Yeah,
so it's, I had never blamed Biner for that. I did blame Biner for ruining Kozar's throwing his long throwing arm. The opening day of '88 when Kansas City, who was it? Derek Thomas came in,
DT,
and was unblocked.
That was his rookie year too, so no one really understood how good Derek Thomas was going to be.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
The body control that guy had to come off the line. I mean, my uncle has a picture from the sideline, and it's one of those straight shots.
Yeah.
And it's him coming over around the corner against the Broncos, and he's parallel to the ground.
Yeah.
How do you block that when you can just?
He has one hand on the ground and he's
right.
just crazy.
If he didn't get taken early, he might have been one of the best pass rushers in NFL history.
He already
still
was.
is.
I agree with that.
He might have been the best pass rusher in NFL history if he wasn't taken before his time.
He was he was impressive. No two ways about that. Very impressive. All right, 330-886-0813. I'm going to throw out a little subject, and I love the magic numbers for any high school athlete, and it seems 1,000 points for basketball players is now the magic number for everyone.
It's becoming more and more common too, because players are starting to play freshman year.
There you go.
More time,
and it's where great minds are thinking here. Because is 1,000 points now more impressive than it was, say, 30, 40 years ago when freshmen didn't play basketball and you only had 3 years instead of 4?
I don't think it's any less impressive when you do it. I just think I don't think the fact that more people are doing it makes it less impressive that you did it.
I agree with that.
Because you're still, how many? Well, we might have maybe. So we had Kyler Jamison last night. We might have 6 or 7 more players this season across the whole YSN family get to 1,000 points in their career. So you're still top, you're still in a prestigious group.
Absolutely.
That's a tough question because you're right. Back in the day, you only had 3 years to do it.
Yeah.
So the people that did it with 3 years, are they held at a higher esteem than the people that did it in 4?
Well, and
But then a lot of people are getting it like just into their senior season. So you're like, they really did it in 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and the other part of it is, and we go way, way, way back when games were only 18 games seasons. So now we have 22 games.
Has everyone also always gotten a tournament run? Because tournament games count towards your...
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and everyone's always had at least one tournament game.
Okay.
And again, if you're on a really bad team and you're one and done every single year, you're only playing, 3, 4 tops tournament games, if that's the case. So that's... You're only talking about 22 times 4 if you're a freshman, 88, minimum 92 games if you play every single game. 92 games at 1,000 points, you're still averaging double digits. You got to average double digits to over the 4 years to get the 1,000 points. That's still an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, and then the ones that really blow your mind are the ones that get 1,000 in their sophomore season.
Oh yeah, that's
just like,
that's
whoa.
absurd. Yeah. Well, and you figure if you're getting 20 points a game over 22 games, that's 440 points.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even talking tournaments now. So you're going 440 right off the get-go. If you're averaging 20 points a game 4 years running, 440 times 4 is 1,760 points, and we're not even talking tournaments. So there's a really good chance you crack 2,000 if you average 20 points a game over 4 years with tournaments.
That's all you have to do is just average 20 a game.
Yeah, that's all you really need to do.
Wow.
I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment.
Not a lot of people. I mean, you look at all the teams, record books and the scoring records. There aren't a lot of 2,000.
No.
Scores.
And you also...
Cressy's got one, though.
Yeah.
You look at that board. You look at Chelsea Boker.
Absolutely.
Man, was she fun to watch.
And you assume, they're going to play all 88 games. Wait a second. You're going to be healthy to do that, number one. Number two, Mother Nature has to be pretty fortunate for you. And number three, now as we look at it, you have to have a COVID-free season.
Now, yeah.
Now look at what is going on. When we're talking about kids that are now freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, forget about the seniors for a second. They'll have 3 complete years if they played varsity ball. If we don't have a complete season this year, scoring 1,000 points for the next 4 years after this year, it's going to be an even more amazing accomplishment.
Especially if you do it your junior season. If you're a freshman right now and you do it in your junior season, and we don't have a full season this year,
yeah,
that just shows how impressive it is to do it.
Absolutely.
And back to the first point, I just don't want people, I know it's getting more and more familiar, more and more common. I don't want that to wash down how impressive it is to get to 1,000 points.
There's so many variables that you have to be able to avoid and embrace in order to get the 1,000 points. It's an amazing accomplishment. It doesn't matter if you've played 22 games in a good-sized tournament run. That's 1,000 points is 1,000 points. That's a solid accomplishment. And when I see kids like Kyla Jamison do this last night and did it in a very, very cool fashion.
Now, how about that? I mean, to do it, not just to do it, but to do it in a pressure situation. She had 4 fouls on her.
Yeah.
And you're tied at 41 with a minute 58 to go in the game against a team that you haven't beaten in your whole high school career, by the way. Because they haven't beaten Poland in a long time at Salem. And to feel the pressure, got the bucket to take the lead, and then Salem gets the win. That's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and by the way, kudos again to the athletic department from Poland. They stopped the game. They commemorated the moment. Everyone was feel-good moment. And then they talked with... who did the article? I got to compliment Brad Emmerich for the article in today's Vindicator. They caught up with her after the game. I love this comment from Kyla Jamison. It was very nice of them, being Poland, but I really wanted to keep playing at that moment. It's a close game. We just took the lead, had all the momentum, and there's a bunch of excitement. They're like, okay, cool gesture. Get the hell off the floor and let's play basketball here. And that's that. Give me that type of player every day of the week.
It was gamesmanship by Coach Blanche.
I can just hear people sit back and go, "Wait a second, you're stopping the game because that's just all the momentum's being taken away. This isn't real."
Gave Poland a free timeout.
Yeah.
Because they had to huddle around.
No, stop that already. Come on, that was a really cool moment, and kudos to Poland for doing what they did. But yeah, Jameson after the game was like, no, I don't need my moment in the sun. This is an important game.
But I think it's important to have that moment because
Absolutely.
especially the fact that YSN was there to get a part of it, the way that all the media outlets were there. I mean, props to everyone, all of our competition for being there because a lot of people didn't get to see that in the gym. And it wasn't at their home court. And I think you'd want that moment. You'd want you wanted to go both ways. You wanted the other team to respect you enough to have that moment if you get it. And then if Poland has someone that gets it, they'd want the same courtesy to be afforded to them if they were on the road.
I think it was a great example of high school sportsmanship being alive and well in today's landscape, which is a great
especially thing. In this game wasn't even on the original schedule. They weren't supposed to play each other this year. So I think there was a camaraderie between Poland and Salem this season because they got together and added a game late, and the games are so precious right now because of COVID-19. So I think there was a kind of a really sign of respect to get this game on the schedule late in the process.
Yeah, it's not only the colleges that are on WeNeedGames.com. It's the high school people too.
Poland's playing Waterloo this weekend. That was completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
I was talking to Coach Blanche afterwards, and he goes, before 2 weeks ago, I had no idea where Waterloo even was. And I was like, oh, it's in Atwater. And he goes, doesn't help.
Portage County. A little further away.
He goes, we're going to find out, though, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to play. And that's what all this scheduling is. Just find whoever you can, play them, and just be grateful that you're playing a game.
Well, we made mention of this. If athletic directors aren't paid enough, they should be now, because everything that the ADs are doing, the coaches, the ADs, the kids, this is an unbelievable process that's going on right now. Look, football, it's a little bit different because one game a week. Okay, one game a week is still that's a tough thing to do. It is a tough thing to do. There's no two ways about it. When you're playing a sport where you have multiple games a week, and now you have to find opponents to fill in these multiple games a week because, well, Trumbull County's not playing anything. Well, you can't go to Youngstown City Schools, so Easton and Cheney are both out. Well, you can't go over here because this school has a COVID outbreak. You can't go over here because this school has a travel ban. ADs and coaches are making their money this year.
And even though volleyball has multiple games a week, they had no stoppages.
Amazing.
That I know of. I mean, their state tournament, I don't believe there were any games that had to be non-compete because of COVID-19. So now we're finally dealing with this whole mess that is trying to schedule a sport that is multiple games a week, because you were blessed enough to not have to deal with it for volleyball. And now all of a sudden we're starting to have to deal with it with basketball, with winter coming up and, flu season and all that stuff coming out, making COVID numbers go up.
And this is where I thought if we didn't get a handle on COVID, this would be the season that would really be just a horrible test for everyone. And as it turns out, it's becoming a horrible test for a lot of folks. And, as I made mention, the last Crestview game, the only Crestview game of the season, when we signed off, I said, to be honest, I have no idea when we're going to be doing this again, because we have no idea when these kids are going to be playing again. This is just a day-by-day thing.
And the games can be canceled the day of. There's no warning. They can be canceled now. Hey, this game's shut down.
And conversely, a game can be put in.
Columbiana Valley Christian. We learned about that a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
We were scheduled to be there. Now that game's canceled.
Game's been canceled. And conversely, now it doesn't, I don't think they do it last minute, but you can always have two teams go, okay, we just got canceled. Let's see if we can play each other that night.
For example, if it worked out, I don't think it worked out this way, but if Valley Christian had the COVID issue, but Columbiana didn't, and they were still fine, and then Springfield also got canceled tonight, they weren't having a COVID issue, they could just call up each other and say, hey, let's play.
Yeah.
I don't know how quick that could happen, but
it's welcome to 2020.
Right.
I mean, this is
not the TV show. We're not Barbara Walters.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to 2020. I'm Baba Wawa. Yeah, that's not happening. Not happening.
And definitely not the vision either, because
no 2020 here.
But
I'd like to be 2020, but this is. Yeah, not even close to being 2020. Yeah, I'm not even 2020 with these things on
I'm not close. No.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable releasing my vision.
Yeah, my vision sucks with these things on, and I need to go back to my optometrist.
20 and a high number. Let's just put it that way. 20 and it's high.
Yeah.
Really high.
Yeah. So
it's really high.
Yeah. Plus, I have cataracts developing. Which
I have cerebral palsy.
Well.
I win.
You win. Yeah, you're a winner. You've TKO. You've won. That's we will stop on that one. Yes, indeed, we will. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. The overhand right, Tyson Wright just ended that fight. Period. Game over. We'll take a timeout. On the other side, we'll take some phone calls. It is a Thursday edition of Running Point. Final day for me for this week. I'm off tomorrow. Not something that I want to do, but something that, it needs to be done. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, also, tomorrow's show. Damn, tomorrow's show is going to be fun. I wish I was here to be a part of it. With Steve Leslie and DJ Yoakley are going to have a who's who of basketball coaches calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We'll talk a little bit about that and take some phone calls. It's coming up next. Stick around.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate. 330-259-0486. And take care of your heating and air situation.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com as the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning spot was played. Anthony and I
always makes us go right to the Godfather.
Anthony and I are going and doing Godfather lines. Why do you disrespect me on the day of my daughter's wedding? Beginning of the show. It's classic. It's fantastic. You get Brando doing his thing, and
the funny thing is when they went and made that movie, I mean the studio did not want Marlon Brando at all. They said, no, he is not going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And Francis Ford Coppola found a way to...
he put his foot down.
Well, eventually the president of Paramount came out and said, okay, if he'll do the movie for next to nothing and he promises that his antics won't slow down production, then you can have him be at this spot. So, I mean, he did not have a good reputation in the movie industry to that point about how he was to work with, and he slowed down productions and stuff like that. So Paramount wanted nothing to do with Marlon Brando. But now, all of a sudden, hey, he maybe one of his best roles ever.
Well, he won an Academy Award. Now, granted, on the Academy Award, he sent a Native American up to accept the award on his behalf, and then they went off into a tangent about some different stuff.
Hence why Paramount was really nervous.
Exactly. But Brando was phenomenal in his role as Vito Corleone. That's iconic. That's one of the greatest movies ever made in the history. It's right up there with Casablanca and some of the other incredible movies. That's Marlon Brando. Wow, damn, that was good. But Al Capone was not Al Capone.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. Well, Al Pacino was pretty
they were
amazing.
adamant that they didn't want him in there either.
Yeah.
They wanted like a star.
Yeah, because he was a nobody.
Mm-hmm. And Coppola kept kind of squeezing him into the screen test.
Yeah.
And eventually it got him.
Yeah, and
you can see when they tested James Caan as Michael.
Yeah.
So,
well, it wasn't.
It's not that guy.
Yeah, he's Sonny.
Right.
And James Caan became a name because he was brilliant as Brian Piccolo in Brian's Song. I mean, that was by far and away one of the best TV made movies ever. And his star was on the rise because he was Brian Piccolo in Brian's Song, and Francis Ford Coppola's like, oh man, this guy gonna make a great Sonny. The guy I felt sorry for was the poor schmuck that played that played the middle brother, Fredo.
Oh, Fredo.
Yeah. I mean, he was perfect for the role because he was a bumbling Stugatz, but I mean, he was perfect for that role. But I mean. And Godfather 2, when he finally has the stones to stand up to his younger brother and say, "It should have been me," and of course he gets whacked at the end of it. But I feel like I just gave away the ending of a movie from 40 some odd years ago.
There you go. You just blew it.
Yeah.
Back to sports.
I knew it was you all along. Yeah.
Back to sports.
Back to sports. All right. Tomorrow, Running Points will be high school basketball center. Great lineup. Steve French, the Springfield boys basketball coach, will be calling in via the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline. John Cullen will do the same from South Range, the boys coach, at 12:30. At 1 o'clock, Walter Shields, the head basketball coach for the West Branch girls, will be calling in. Jeff Fischel, the South Range girls coach, will be calling in at 1:20. Sarah Hamilton from Salem, the girls basketball coach, will be calling in at 1:45. That's going to be a pretty interesting conversation depending on who wins
back and forth
tonight's game between Salem and South Range. At 2:30, Keith Gunther, the Ursuline boys basketball coach, will be calling in. And we've talked so much about D2 and the Boardman district, and if they don't supersize the districts, how that Boardman district could be loaded with all kinds of talent. Ursuline has been one of those teams under the radar this year.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked up West Branch because they've looked so good to start this season in the boys' side, but Ursuline was the boys' team that beat them out of the tournament last year in the sectionals. So Ursuline's always very talented. They like to run. They're very athletic, and they're always a team that kind of seems to have their hand in the cookie jar.
And if you want to talk about one of the better coaches in the area, Keith Gunther, he's definitely. I mean, he doesn't have the win total that John Cullen does.
No, but he's got the style, man.
Oh, absolutely, he does.
His attire. What word am I looking?
Attire.
His attire on the sidelines.
What'd you say? Attire?
Attire. I messed up. I done messed up.
All right.
Attire.
Oh,
he's got style, man.
Yeah,
I like watching him on the sideline. He's got a nice suit, and he's got a.
How important is that for a high school coach?
I think
to
it's
be
very
to be
important.
decked out in
look good, feel good, play
feel
good, right?
play good, play good.
I mean, when Jeff Fischel last year, I mean, he came out in the burgundy sports coat, the gold shirt, and the gold tie. That was pretty cool.
All right,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, he was decked out. He took it seriously, and some coaches do. Some coaches just like to have just a uniformity, like a polo or but you get to kind of express your style a little bit as a coach on the sideline.
I had my Latonia basketball.
Quinn's got the sweater vest.
Yeah,
from Lisbon.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Now the varsity coaches got to put the suit on. I'm just like, I don't know about the suit thing. I'd have to still get back into somewhat decent shape to rock a suit. Because if I put on, I mean, I got a 20-inch neck. I got a huge neck. So, I mean, obviously, huge head, huge
Looking
neck.
like Luca Brasi over
Yeah,
there.
so, yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So, Don Corleone, on the day of your daughter's wedding, I am happy to be here.
I shouldn't have gone. I knew it would have gotten
May
us
your
off.
first child be a masculine child. I mean, I'm just like, really? Come on, man. He can have brains while having brawn. I mean, not that I'm an example of that or anything, but no. I mean, if I put a suit on, I have to find a shirt that is huge neck size, and then even when I do, I look like Chris Farley in
Tommy Boy.
In Tommy Boy, trying to rock
that
a suit.
Guy in a little coat. We are so off the rails.
Yeah, I just went off the rails. Went sideways. All right, 330-886.
Bring us back.
0813. 330-886-0813. Power Hour coming up in top of the hour. DJ and the fellas will get you through the 3 o'clock
let's
hour.
Preview the games tonight. You got Lowville and Camel.
Lowville
girls.
and Camel.
And Lowville, historic program. Been down for a couple of years.
Yeah, year in, year out. When Tony Mattizi was there, man, that was good.
He seems to he's like the King Midas of girls basketball everywhere.
The basketball
he goes,
whisperer.
Touches it and it's like winning program.
Yeah, basketball whisperer.
I think he's really good at taking athletic teams and loosening their reins and just let them go be athletic. And that's what he's going to really do well at McDonald. I mean, we saw a little bit of it when they got to play one game against Columbiana, where he loosened the reins a little bit on the Howard girls.
They look good.
And he just let them go out and play and be athletic.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have a really fun season. But
I mean, I don't know what to expect with Lowville. I mean, the program has been down for a couple of years, but historically they've always had a fun program, competitive program.
And I believe this is both teams' first games. So really, not much to go off of as far as how they've played, and I think you'll have a fun time. That Lowville gym will look good on camera at least.
Oh, absolutely.
The floor at Lowville, it's a nice one.
Yeah, definitely is. It definitely is.
And then DJ's got, I think, the game of the night, Salem South Range. I mean, to see those two teams go at it, to see if Salem's worn down a little bit from their third game in 4 days. I don't expect them to be, because they're really deep. They use their bench really well. I think this is going to be a fun game.
There's going to be some good basketball played tonight and then this weekend. I know that an addition, and kudos to both Crestview and Wellsville for doing this. Crestview and Wellsville will play a boys basketball game at Rebels Gymnasium on Friday. Now, I mean, they could have cleared it with me because I'm not going to be able to broadcast the game because I'm going to be laid up looking like I'd just gotten the crap beat out of me by Tyson because I don't even want to look in a mirror for the next couple of days after what the doctors do to me tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. I mean, you can't really get much uglier than this, but they're gonna try their hardest to do that as they take some.
I won't say any jokes, but I could make some really. I could put people down right now.
Well, listen.
I won't go there.
Listen, if I come walking in here on Monday with bandages and 2 black eyes because they've cut into my nose and did what they needed to do,
I'll just assume you got mugged.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just say I got mugged. Well, who mugged you? I don't know what the guy's name was.
The other guy, though.
Yeah. I cleaned house in the bar. Sure, I look like crap, but damn it, you should see the other guy. You can't see him. He's dead.
Can't see him. He did.
Yeah, so that's we'll see what happens.
That got dark, Ron. It got really dark.
I know.
You went from a bar fight to a murder really quick. Really quick.
We'll just let that one go for a little bit.
Yeah. But then in the games this week, we're going to have really good basketball all week on YSN.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm excited about tomorrow's show with Steve Leslie and DJ Oakley. All those coaches have at least one game under their belt. So they'll all have something to talk about. They've seen their team play. And especially I'm excited to hear from French and how the Springfield success in football is translating to their basketball team and how those football players that are stepping into leadership roles on this basketball team, kind of how that translates between football and basketball and how much of that tradition kind of carries over into the basketball court.
How much of a challenge it is for the other sports. Not just the boys, but for the girls. I mean, I think that it doesn't matter which team and which program and whether it's boys or girls. I think that if you get to the place where Springfield was, go to a state championship game in any sport, you've laid the gauntlet down for all the other sports in your school and say, okay,
this is the standard.
This is the standard. Let's go. Let's have some fun here.
Especially when you've done it 2 years in a row.
Oh, absolutely. No two ways about that. And I think that the basketball program and the baseball program and the girls'
By
basketball
the way, the baseball program
softball,
has been to a state championship in recent memory.
Yes, they have been.
But the basketball team was pretty good last year. Lost a little bit, but they still look pretty good on Tuesday against Salem.
The year that Warren JFK won their state championship, they beat Minster in 2016. That basketball team, that winner, went to the regional finals and came literally inches. What should have been a game-winning 3 that just rimmed out would have sent JFK to the Final Four in basketball. Yeah, I honestly believe that when you have success in fall, that just carries on to winter and spring. I really believe that.
Winning breeds winning.
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to be real curious to see how JFK does in basketball this year. And we talk about Springfield, and they're going to be a D3 program. So, again, if all things are equal, they get to go to the Salem district where we haven't had a winner there in a district champion there in quite a few years.
That's going to change this year, I think.
I hope it
way
does.
Too much talent in this area.
Well, we talk about D2 being loaded. Well, wait a minute, back the bus up a second and let's go to D3. South Range is going to be good this year. Springfield is going to be good this year. We anticipate, because everybody's back for Crestview, we anticipate Crestview to be pretty good this year. And there's some other Division III schools that are going to be fun to watch. So D3 is going to be fun. D4 is going to be phenomenal.
Falls 3 or 4.
Newton Falls is a 3.
There you go.
They're going to be phenomenal. LeBray is a 3. They're going to be phenomenal to watch. And D4, McDonald, Badger, Bristol, JFK, Sebring. Lisbon may excite some people depending on how quickly the young kids grow up. If Leetonia ever gets their program turned around, and I think they will, maybe not this year, but down the road, I think Leetonia is going to be a tough out. So there's going to be some good basketball for years to come. I think there's going to be some good basketball. We finally got out of the dark forest, and now we're starting to embark on what I think is going to be a really new golden age of basketball in this area. I don't know if it's going to be as good as the basketball that I saw in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if it's going to be that good, but if there's a challenge to be had, that would be if they could get anywhere near that, I think it would be a phenomenal look, because basketball in the mid-late 70s through the early 90s was phenomenal in this area.
Yeah, and I think we're back on the rise. I think we're back to when we can get to a state where we are back to where we were back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And when I look at some of the freshmen I've seen already, and the fact that they're coming in, they're making immediate impacts into their varsity squad, I think that tells me that there's not just going to be a good season this year, but we're going to see good seasons for a longevity in years to come. And like we said before, coaches in this area are starting to get a lot better spread out among the YSN family. So we have a lot of top-grade coaches that are really bringing the talent as well.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fun year, and hopefully, knock on wood, COVID doesn't rear its ugly head all that often, and we can play as many games as we possibly can and just go from there.
We're going to play what we play, and YSN's going to be there.
That's it.
You know,
YSN's going to be there, and you fans may not be there. And by the way, that's not an OHSAA decision. That's not a school decision. That's a governor decision. Governor DeWine is continuing to say that maybe fans shouldn't be showing up.
Press conference right now.
Yeah.
So who knows what's being said there? Hopefully nothing terrible.
I saw that over 8,000 more cases from yesterday to today in the 24-hour
And this shouldn't surprise me.
period.
I mean, we all knew that the November and the December months were going to be bad because it starts to get cold, and everyone we've been saying that since June and July, so this shouldn't at least be taking people for surprise.
Yeah, I think some of us were hoping that this was going to go away, but as it turns out, it's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to deal with it and see what happens. And like I said, if Governor DeWine has his way, nobody shows up to a basketball game, then you'll be able to see all the games at YSN.
The parents will be up on ladders watching from the windows.
That's yeah, and this is in football. At least you could watch outside the gate,
right?
And still, well, I mean, not a great view, but you can. You know, I remember the students from Crestview would go where the end zone is, where the scoreboard is. They would be camped out right there watching the game from that end zone. And, okay, it's not a great seat, but at least you were able to see your classmates play football. You can't do that in basketball.
There's going to be parents in the rafters and parents in the windows outside.
Yeah. Climbing up the
you're gonna see a little head pop up. Ooh.
Yeah, climbing up the steel beam at the top of the gym, looking down on the floor. Yeah, I don't recommend that.
You're gonna see
anybody.
You're gonna see like a drone come in and have a live feed at the.
Now that would be interesting. That would be interesting. And Yeagley, Coach Yeagley has one of those drones. They use it for football practice. So,
right.
You know, I mean, there's a business proposition for Coach Yeagley. Hey, I got a drone here. Does anyone want to use this so you can fly the drone really, really high so the basketball doesn't destroy the drone?
Luckily for South Range, you won't have to worry about that because who's going to be there?
YSN's going to be there. So there you go. Just call us the drone.
Why watch it on the drone when you can watch it on YS?
Yeah, you just call us the drone.
Drone.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to be there when you people aren't.
It's going to be our
apparently.
Tagline. YSN, the drone.
YSN, we're there when you're not.
I like that one.
Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut.
You just found one.
There you go. All right,
put it away for the winner.
That's it. 330-886-0813. I'll put it in my cheeks. Hold on a second.
I can really do Don Corleone.
Well,
He got cotton.
He had cotton in his, that was the rumor flying around that he had cotton in his jaws when he was doing the voice and whatnot. So, all right, 330-886-0813. Back in a bit. It is a Thursday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com.
Two Thursday.
Yeah, two Thursday. Yeah, that's, wow. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo.
What's that Greenwood mug, Ron?
I don't have one today. Yeah, it's
you got to bring your prop for.
I know. I gotta.
For awesome plugs for Greenwood Chevrolet.
I have to fill mine up, and come Monday, I'll fill mine up. And maybe it'll be hot coffee.
You can't do plugs without your mug.
Very good. Very well played.
You got to bring in your mug.
Yeah, very well played.
It's product placement, Ron.
Yeah, I get it.
We're like the Truman Show.
Wait a second. Wouldn't this be product placement?
Well, yeah, for us, but we need to take care of our sponsors.
Well, I get that. I'll have my Yeti on Monday. I'll have my Yeti full of hot drink on Monday. And we'll go from there. Yeah. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. We really haven't talked any baseball, mainly because it's wintertime.
November.
But, yesterday, the Indians non-tendered Tyler Naquin. I'm a little surprised by that. He was up for arbitration, which now you're not, the organization doesn't have a say as to how much he makes. I mean, you could throw out a number, but, somewhere between your number and the player's number, and if you can't come up to an agreement, you have to go to arbitration. Then an independent arbiter, will determine who's got the better case. And you don't want to do that because then you got feelings hurt. But the Indians didn't even want to go to arbitration with Naquin. They just said, see you later. I'm a little surprised by that, although he hadn't been healthy. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the Indians wanted to do that. I was a little more surprised that the Chicago Cubs said the same thing to Kyle Schwarber. See you later. You're not healthy, so deuces. Go find work somewhere else. Schwarber would look good in an Indians uniform as a DH.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy. And if you don't put him in the field, chances are he can be healthy. Because he's kind of really bad in the field. He's a perfect DH.
Coming to your mind, I think, because you don't like the DH, so you don't like players like that can just hide in the lineup.
I agree with that.
So
yeah, if it were up to me, and I've said this, I kind of amended what I said from a couple of years ago. I think now a happy medium needs to be put in where the Major League Baseball now doesn't say we're getting rid of the DH and doesn't say we're getting rid of pitchers hitting. You have to do a combination of both. So what my proposal has been for the last year is you don't have a DH at the beginning of the game. Your starting pitcher is going to hit for himself. The moment you take the starting pitcher out of the game, the DH goes into that spot. Or if you do a double switch and you decide that the person who made the last out is taken out of the ball game, you can put the DH in that spot or the pitcher spot in that spot and the DH wherever. That's fine. But the DH replaces the pitcher in the batting order. So if you want to have the DH or the pitcher batting fourth, and you are convinced that your pitcher can only go one inning, or if you want to go the Tampa Bay route and say, my guy's only going to pitch one inning and then it'll be bullpen the rest of the night, okay, bottom of the first inning, all right.
As long as you're the home team.
You're the home team, okay.
If you're the away team, then you're...
Yeah, if you're the away team, then you got to put him down in the lineup.
Right.
You got to put him sixth in the lineup or fifth in the lineup and wherever, and just say, okay, if you're home team, bottom of the first inning, the cleanup guy is up. All right. Pitcher spot is the cleanup guy. Out of the game. DH pinch hits for him, and then there you go.
Not going to happen, but it's a nice dream.
I mean, it's to me, in a perfect world, you have the pitcher hitting ninth. Once the starting pitcher is out of the game, DH comes in. So you have a slugger in the bottom of your lineup to where guys get on base. Now you don't have, here comes the 9-hitter. This is going to be an easy out. Even in the DH world, the 9-hitter is supposed to be an easy out. That's why he's hitting ninth. Well, if you have the DH there, well, wait a second. This guy's got an opportunity or could be a pretty significant stick batting ninth in the lineup. Okay, now this changes things a little bit. I think you have a little bit of old school and a little bit of the American League in it. I think it's a perfect for both rabid fan bases. Because those in the National League, a lot of people hate the DH. Okay, I get it.
See, you'll have to see, like inside baseball, you have to see if that is changed after this season when everyone got a universal DH. What the feeling like was in the clubhouses, the GMs, and how they want to go forward now that they know what life is like with a DH.
Well, the DH didn't really hit all that well this year. No, but, I mean, that's kind of a bad example to give because it was a weird year.
DH never hits well average, though. I mean, you're never looking at a DH for an average hitter. There aren't a lot of great average DH.
I agree with that. I mean, you're not going to see very many 300 hitter DH type of players because they're too busy taking the field.
You bring them in for instant offense.
Yeah, they're sluggers. Unless they're Edgar Martinez, who does just about everything.
Right.
Except field, which is why he's a DH, because he's sucked in the field. and Frank Thomas and David Ortiz. Now they're DHs because they
were
stuck in
solid
the
first
field.
basemen.
Oh, stop that! You can't even say that without cracking up.
They were solid first basemen.
David Ortiz with a glove in his hand. That's like a Norman Rockwell picture of an adult beating the crap out of a kid.
Hey,
you didn't see that very often.
Hey, Papi, where you going, man?
Yeah, that's Schwarber would look good in an Indians uniform, assuming that you're still playing with a DH. Otherwise, not so good, because he's not a very good defensive player. You'd have to hide him somewhere. He's not very good. And you already have Reyes, who's not really that great of a defensive player either.
They also got rid of some other players, right? Like Delino DeShields is going.
Delino DeShields Jr. was non-tendered as well.
There's one other one I feel like that I.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rodriguez, who I think he pitched one or two really good games and then got hurt. And then the Indians are like, we don't need it. We don't need pitching. Okay. We don't need injured pitching. So I was a little surprised that they non-tendered Naquin. But Naquin's a free agent. We'll see where he goes. If he's healthy, he's not a bad player.
Come to Kansas City.
Well, I'm just saying, Kansas City wouldn't be a bad place
our,
for Naquin.
Our writers are looking. They want the Royals to get Jackie Bradley Jr.
He would be another nice player. So. It wouldn't be bad. Winter meetings will be held, I don't know, at some point next week.
Meetings.
Yeah, well, they're going to be Zoom and all that other garbage. By the way, we're not going to know the complete listing of minor league baseball until December 8th or somewhere thereabouts.
It's not too far. I mean, that's
it's a few days away. Today's the 3rd.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 1 week from today, we should pretty much know who the minor league teams are going to be. I can tell you because I spoke with someone within the Pirates. The Pirates organization is going to be Indianapolis is their AAA team, Altoona is their AA team, Greensboro is going to be their high A ball team, and Bradenton down in McKechnie Field, Pirate City will be their low A team because the Florida State League is going to be considered a low A team. So
you really think about it, there's still all those levels of baseball. It's just not all incorporated with a team anymore because you still go and play in the draft league to get drafted.
Yeah.
And you still, once you're drafted, you go right to low A, and then
either that or go to the spring training site where they can all play what amounts to short season A ball, but you're playing amongst yourselves.
All these levels still kind of exist. It's just not under the umbrella of a team anymore.
Yeah. The New York Penn League is now the MLB Draft League with, well, not the entire league, but four teams from the New York Penn League are part of that. There's a 6th team that is going to be announced at some point in time, and we'll see what happens. And, you know, the more I think about the MLB Draft League, okay, let's be honest here for a second. Slam dunk first-round draft picks aren't going to be a part of this league. They're just not. They're not going to have any interest because they're slam dunk first-round draft picks. They don't need to improve their stock. Second-round picks, depends on how many of them are willing to take a risk. And it's a risk because you're playing, 63 games? Somewhere in the vicinity, 68 games. There's a risk involved in that because if you get injured, your draft stock takes a serious hit. But the guys that 4th and 5th round draft picks, they're definitely going to want to play. Guys 4th and 5th and down, because there's only 20 rounds in the MLB draft. So I figure guys, I'm going to say 3rd round and down, projected 3rd round picks and down, are going to want to play to improve their stock. And in a lot of ways, this is just going to be an extended version of the what the NFL does with the combine. It's an extended version of the combine. 68 games worth of, it's not going to be 68 games. It's going to be more like 40 some odd games worth of a tryout to see if you can move your stock all the way up to the first or second round. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I will continue to say there will be more talent.
You said the first and second round draft picks aren't going to be interested in playing, but man, what if they're in the position where all of a sudden someone that is playing in that league really does well and then takes their spot the first or second round?
Sucks to be them.
Right? Do they want to play just to avoid that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if I were a late first round draft pick, I still would want to play because you still have a smaller ladder, but you still have a ladder to climb. I mean, if I'm a second round pick, hell yes, I want to play because I want to be a first round pick. Because the difference nowadays between a first round pick and a second round pick, if I have millions of dollars available for me for the first round, and I have low six figure for the second round, wait a second. I want more money in my pocket when I'm signing this contract, and more money for bonus because I know I'm not going to get paid a damn thing or hardly anything when I go to low A, high A, double A, and triple A. I'm going to get paid peanuts to do this because these guys are grossly underpaid, even though they've been given. Well, they weren't given a raise last year because you didn't have minor league baseball. They're still getting paid peanuts from what they should be paid. So if I'm a guy that's a second round draft pick, I want to play this league because I want to be a first round draft pick. Because if I'm a first round draft pick, I'm going to have a high six, low seven figure signing bonus to where even if I don't make it to the major leagues, I'm set for the rest of my life if I had the foresight to invest this money and not blow it on tiger skin, leopard skin fur coats and 15 sports cars and all the other garbage.
You would totally rock a leopard skin coat if you could afford it. Don't lie.
Well,
don't lie to the listeners.
I don't want to get into trouble with PETA or anything, but I mean,
everyone's in trouble with PETA. If you ate meat, you're in trouble with PETA.
I would look good. And
Randy Johnson was in trouble for PETA just for hitting a bird with his pitch.
Yeah, but he didn't mean to.
Like he did on purpose.
I mean, it's not like he geared up and said...
He aimed for it, Ron.
Yeah. It's not like he geared up and said, hey, 97 miles an hour. There's
that bird is ticking me off, man.
That bird has bothered me the entire game. I'm going to rip its head off. Yeah, it's not like he did that or anything like that. Now, would I be inclined to purchase a sports car? Damn right I would.
You would. Could you fit into sports? I mean, because.
Wait, what are you trying to say?
You've been saying that you're really your head's big.
I have sat in a Shelby Mustang, and as long as it's a convertible,
nice, which you can't drive in like 5 months out of the year in Ohio.
Well, no, but as long as it's a convertible, I'm comfortable. But if you put the top up. Well, I mean, the headrest is. I mean, I'm gonna have to lower the seat a little bit.
Because I mean, you said yourself, your neck and head are kind of.
It's pretty big. I will. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm.
Yeah, but if you have that much money, you can custom make a sports car. So
absolutely, you can
have a little bump in the.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to. I mean, it's, hey, what's this bump for? Well, the previous owner had a large head, so
let me show you.
Bloop. Now, if I had that money and I was going to buy a sports car, it would have to be a Shelby Mustang.
69, yeah.
Well, it's 65 or 66.
Oh, I thought it was 69.
Well, 69 is good. I'm whatever year. I mean, even today, the Shelby Mustang is. Woof, man. I was when I lived in Springfield. There was one in the showroom of the Ford agency because my ex and I had our cars serviced because they were both Fords, and they would have a Shelby brand spanking new Shelby Mustang convertible on the showroom floor, $78,000 back then. It's more like $90,000 now, but oh my God, this car's just immaculate. I mean, I'm more of a now that Greenwood Chevrolet's on board, give me the Corvettes. Listen.
Well, we got to do plugs, man.
Yeah, I mean, we got to plug. We got to plug the Camaro convertible or the Vet convertible.
Give me the Bumblebee car, and I'll be good.
I mean, now that we're Chevrolet people, because Greenwood Chevrolet is on board, And by the way, the next car will be purchased at Greenwood Chevrolet at Mahoning Avenue in Austintown, where everyone should be purchasing a car because they have the best service department, the best sales department, the best finance department. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. You get your car, and there you go. Give me the Vet convertible, or the not the convertible, but the top that you can take off. Was it the plastic?
T-tops.
What was that?
T-tops.
The T-top, yeah. Give me one of those. Give me one of those, or a kick-ass Camaro convertible. I'll take it. That's high sports. I don't give a crap about gas mileage. I mean, if it's a V8 and I only get 15 or 16 in the highway, that's all right. I'm gonna look good in a V8.
I'm gonna look good.
V8 convertible driving down the road, 150 miles an hour. I'm gonna look good doing that. Not that I would go 150 at any point. I would never do that.
We obey the law.
Absolutely, we do. Speeding law.
Checking the nose.
We obey the speeding law?
Checking the nose.
You got to check the nose on that one. All right, we'll take a time out. No, actually, if I had the signing bonus, roundabout way getting back into this, second round to first round, it's a lot of money. It's a big difference. So if I'm a second round or a third round projector, I'm playing in this league. Give me the first round. I'm gonna kick everyone's ass in this league. And be the best player in this league, so everyone will look at me and scouts are going to be. And by the way, scouts at Eastwood Field, you're going to be seeing a ridiculous amount of them. This is going to be a great league.
These players aren't a part of a team yet, so the scouts are going to be crazy at Eastwood Field.
This is going to be a league crawling with scouts, and this could be one of those leagues, and it's a 5-year deal. I mean, can you imagine? Let's say Jake Gehring, Chase Franken, who the Bell kid from Lisbon, a couple of other players. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to disrespect anyone or not mention any names. Any baseball player that has played baseball from this area in high school and has got a D1 scholarship or has kicked ass and took names over the next 5 years in college sports. Can you imagine one of those local kids coming back and suiting up for the Scrappers or one of the other 5 teams to take part in this draft league?
The way that Jordan Taylor made it sound is if you're local and you're going to a local college, you're going to be fed into the Scrappers.
Yeah. So I mean, Ohio State is regional. Let's say, a couple of the Buckeye players, a couple of the Penguin players, Zips
Akron,
players, Bowling Green, Kent State.
Ohio U.
Yeah, Wright State.
Penn State over in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Although State College would pretty much.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about State College.
They would pretty much own them.
Well, Pittsburgh then.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we had some local kids that played B-League ball or high school ball and we covered them on YSN. Can you imagine some of those kids coming over and playing in the draft league? I mean, this league is going to be around for 5 years. So the kids that we're broadcasting senior year in high school, that's year 1. Mm-hmm. Their senior year in college is going to be year 5. We might see a handful of kids that we broadcast games from YSN making the jump to the MLB Draft League, putting on a Scrappers uniform. That would be cool as hell. I think it'd be all kinds of fun. On that note,
maybe we can make a deal with the Scrappers to keep YSN in there.
I'm just saying that would be
wink.
That would be a great business model for us
wink,
to have.
Wink, nudge, nudge.
I'm just saying. We'll take a final timeout and turn it over to DJ and the boys. Running Point Thursday edition. All coming up after this timeout.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at
efforts. Boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown. Right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier.
with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Point as we close up shop. Running Point's presented every Monday through Friday, noon to 3, courtesy of Greenwood Chevrolet, Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, tomorrow I got a procedure looking me dead in the face and nose and back, and gonna have some skin cancer taken off of me. So Steve Leslie and DJ Yoakley will be running point tomorrow. They'll both be running point. And a lot of basketball coaches. Steve French, Springfield boys, will be chiming in at noon. John Cullen, the South Range boys coach, will be chiming in at 12:30. Walter Shields from the West Branch girls program will call in at 1. Jeff Fischel, he is the South Range girls head basketball coach. He'll call in at 1:20. Sarah Hamilton, girls basketball coach from Salem, will chime in at 1:45. And at 2:30, Keith Gunther, Ursuline boys basketball coach, will be calling in as well. So a lot of basketball between DJ and Steve Leslie as they co-host Running Point tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday, and should be a good time. And Anthony will be making fun of my cut-up face.
No, I would never, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, well, come on. Seriously, your nose is growing. That'll do it.
I look around this room and I see nothing but untapped potential.
That'll do it for the Thursday edition of Running Point. Talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Power Hour with DJ and the fellas.